Well, we're live, but nothing's happened.
That's shortened it down a bit then.
That's bloody good. Evening, Paul.
Good evening. What's going on?
Paul?
I don't know. We've lost Food for Thought Radio. Is it running?
Yeah, it's right there. I think you've just turned it off or something.
Oh, hang on, mate.
Oh,
Here it comes.
Oh, it comes.
Cluck, cluck, wake up your mind. Fill up your day.
Oink, oink.
Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio here at FFTradio.com. Food for Thought Radio here at FFTradio.com.
Oink, oink, oink.
Order.
No, order, sit and leave.
This
All
is
right.
the best political satire broadcast in the universe.
Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this.
You are listening to Fockham Hall with Eric von Essex.
Good evening, and welcome to another exciting show. And tonight, our guests are Anorak and Paul English. Good evening, gentlemen, or good afternoon
evening.
if you're
How are
elsewhere
you
in the
both?
world. That's it, Bumble.
Good evening.
And I must brag because I've made my own ice cream. Yeah. I'm sorry,
It was worth turning up just for that, to be quite
I
honest. That was
know.
great.
but I hope
Make it-
everybody is. We were talking about adverts that make people envious. So I hope everybody's envious. No, actually, you get 2 large avocados, mash them up, stick some double cream in it, and a couple of bananas. Mash, more. Shove it in the freezer. Next morning, you should have nice scoopable ice cream. So they say. I'll be able to report on it tomorrow night whether it is scoopable because I just did it today. So there we are. So simple recipe in it, and they reckon you won't want to buy your own ice cream after you've had that. So if you don't see me tomorrow night, you know I've gone down with food poisoning.
You on the lavatory.
Yes, live from the toilet of Fockham Hall is.
Be able to do a
How's
Mr.
your
Whippy.
We're not talking about those houses of disrepute, are we, Mr. Whippy? But anyway, how is young Paul today in the south of England?
It's let's do weather, shall we? I've
Yes,
just been out for a
okay.
walk, and it should have been a cooling, embracing walk by the sea, but it's not. It's extremely muggy,
Yes.
very sweaty indeed. I actually quite like this sort of weather, to be quite honest. I know that sounds funny. I know it makes you a bit sort of soporific, but I like it when it's really sweaty for some reason. I'm a bit weird like that. And it's not actually that warm. It's freezing at 21 degrees centigrade, but it feels a lot warmer because the humidity is so high.
Yeah.
And there are clouds. It's really interesting to look at clouds. I just got
Same here.
fed up of just sheets and sheets of crystal clear blue sky. It's got boring now. And I'm sort of really looking forward to a nice snowstorm and some hail and thunder and lightning.
Mind you,
But, you know,
so I didn't mean to cut across you there, but we have had chemtrails. They're quite good. Chemtrails in the morning. Do you get them?
very interesting, aren't they?
Are
Yeah.
you still getting them at the moment, Chris? Because I must be honest, I haven't seen any of them since the eclipse.
I can't say I've noticed them. This morning, they might have been there because I don't know because it's been cloudy this morning. But a kind of bright overcast today, and then the blue sky came back about just after lunch. But now it's gone
Maybe
cloudy.
they've,
again, so-
Maybe the pilots get the main fortnight off. Maybe they sort of say,
Yeah,
it's
perhaps
okay,
not.
lads, you don't need to poison anybody for 2 weeks. See you later. Go back in
They're on
in
holiday.
September. Yeah.
Anyway, Alice Gorgeous, thank you, Alice. She said, all is well with Food for Thought Radio. It's fine, chaps. Bless you. That's very kind.
Thank you,
very much.
Alice.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Yes. Now, I've peed a lot of people off because
Again.
the name of this show is Fear Factory, and I don't believe anybody stepped foot on the moon. I don't believe we landed on other planets. I don't think we landed on Mars, and I don't believe that nuclear bombs were dropped on Hiroshima or Nagasaki, because scientific evidence shows we didn't. And I don't think nuclear bombs exist. Nuclear power stations do, but nuclear bombs don't. And many scientists are saying it is impossible to make a nuclear bomb. They can put nuclear material in conventional explosives, but they can't make a nuclear bomb. So what's your view on that, chaps?
Well, nuclear bombs, eh? I'll keep you posted, because I just got some plutonium in the post the other day.
Excellent.
And I'm looking to try and knock one up in the kitchen, because every home, to protect it, should have its own nuclear arsenal.
That's right. I'm splitting the bloody atom. There it is, a little bastard. Boom! It slips off the kitchen table, doesn't it? A little sod.
I know. I've been splitting atoms all week. My thumbs are so sore holding the little buggers down. And that hammer, that saw, it's tricky, It's not easy.
Yeah.
You know the big red button that's in the kitchen? That's actually to the oven, not to the nuclear bomb, just so you know.
Well, I did know that, yes. I think, actually, I was a bit frightened about coming on the show. What with it being, I've been in fear about it all day, to be quite honest, Eric. Yeah.
Yes.
Anxiety. Yeah, I think, well, gosh, there's so much stuff. Where do we begin? I think we began years ago, didn't we, yakking about all this kind of stuff, and it's always worth yakking about to some degree. I think we live in a media that is designed to create anxiety no matter what, of various degrees, and so even the supposedly good news is just news that's got less anxiety transmitted in it than other stuff. The whole thing is... you don't know whether to keep paying some attention to it, which I do, which is possibly, I'm going to regret this maybe it's a dumb decision, or not, to be quite honest, because the whole sort of arena is an artificial construct. And, going out and walking around, as I do locally, you've been proud of me yesterday, Eric, actually. I got the bike out and went on a bike ride.
Whoa.
It was pretty cool.
Oh,
I got quite excited about it, actually.
Do you wear a cap or a tip foot, or are you like me? Don't bother.
No, I'm just getting back into it. I've got sort of like a hybrid mount. I've got two bikes. I've got a race bike, but I need to get new tyres for that, frankly, and some new inner tubes. So I'm not going out on that thing just yet. My backside's not up to it. It's got the sort of resilience of a very old sofa, my backside at the moment. So it takes a bit of time to get a bit of strength down there in the old nether regions, doesn't it? But it will happen. But no, I just went off. We've got some nice sort of, they're all flat and stuff. There's no sort of hills. I probably couldn't get up them at the moment. But I just went off to tootle around, and I just forgot how much fun it is being on a bike, because it turns you into like a 14-year-old. It just does straight away. It's like, whoa, and you want to sort of hop around a bit on the bike. So it was great. No, I just went out for about 40 minutes, came back really sweaty, because it was another sweaty evening last night. Had a cold shower, felt really good, actually, slept well. And I've got to incorporate that into my advancing years exercise regime. And I do like bikes in the winter, actually. I know it sounds a bit mad, but I like going out and getting absolutely bloody hammered by the weather and coming in, because I just feel good. But I've not done it for quite a few years. I've gone soft over the last 5 or 6 years of this, there's no doubt. And I need to, get a little bit tougher again.
Well, a nice cold shower or cool shower is good for you. It boosts your happiness, apparently. I'm not sure how that works, because when you get it, you think, bloody hell, this is freezing. But apparently,
it's because it's when you get out of it, Paul. That's what it is. You get really happy when it stops.
Thank God for that. Yeah, that's just that warm towel.
Well, that's it. But the good thing about cycling, I look at it like a gymnasium. My bike is my gymnasium, because the trouble is you're only exercising your legs. You get muscly legs. That's about all, really. But
I don't know. I know what you mean, but I think a good vision. You know how your heroes change throughout life as the years go by, and you have different sort of. So when I was young, my hero was Eddie Merckx. I was really into cycling when I was about 12. and everybody was into football, but I had these magazines, and of course I just got I got heavier. I don't mean fatter. I've got huge bones. I'm like size 12 feet, and it just became. I was really cross about the fact that I just became weighty. Do you know what I mean? I'm sort of like a lump, and so I couldn't do it really, and. So that, but now that's been replaced by also cyclists, which is the French cliche of the old man with the beret on and the striped thing with garlic round his neck, tootling around on a bike in his 90s. And I'm thinking that this is really a good hero to have in mind, because bicycles are absolutely brilliant form of exercise. They're way better than running, because running's just going to smash up all your joints. I see people doing this all the time. I know I've droned on about it before, but it's true. And I think also it does strengthen your neck and your shoulder muscles. The first time I went out about 6 months ago, my neck hurt like mad. I only went out for an hour. And I
it was on a racing bike though, with the dropped handlebars, because when you write down, you're going like a alpha leather.
The
But
trick
have you
is not to
find?
have baked beans
Yeah,
when you're on one of them.
Well, they can assist with your acceleration, though, Paul. You've got
That's true.
certain sort of advantages at
That's an
times.
electric bike.
They can get you up a hill quicker than you actually thought you might be able to do that with that sort of rocket fuel inside you, yeah.
Turbo
what gets
boost.
on my nerves is school kids do not get out of your way. Now, there's a bleeding school near where I live, and I'm cycling along. Now, there's a cycle track, a shared cycle track and pedestrian track. So it's quite wide,
Mhm.
and I've got me racing bike, drop handlebars, head down, going like the bleeding clappers. And these kids are walking along towards me, and they go, I just sort of stand there, and you have to pull up and sort of go around them. They don't get out. They've got no sense of danger.
Oh, knock them over next time, Eric, and give them a broken collarbone and say, that'll teach you, you young rapscallions.
Yes. Well, actually, I'm thinking of getting, you know what the old knights in army used to have? One of these long poles. So just go bash the bastards out of the way. But
Be like a kebab when you get it home.
yeah. Well, actually, you know, I said about making the chocolate, making the ice cream.
Yeah.
You always get some sod trying out, do you? Don't you? Here it comes. That called just. I made chocolate coconut oil nut treats, Eric. Very yummy and totally keto. Well, mine's keto.
Yeah, it's all talk, Alice. It's all talk and no trousers. I want a sample. Get them sent off to the Fockham Hall sampler department, and me, Paul, and Eric will test them out. We'll give you a bit of feedback.
That's
I'm
right.
going to say that combination, I reckon, sounds like something a camel would leave behind.
Well, I'll give you an example now.
It sounded
Aunt
quite good,
Sally,
actually.
Aunt Sally,
Yeah.
don't tell her this, but she makes absolute cracking sort of mousse type things made from avocados. You see, and it's cacao, avocados, lemon, all kinds of things like that. That's all. She brought me one once when I went to see Miles and his pals, and I met her there, and she said, "Would you like one of these?" Oh, yes, please. And it went down without touching the sides. It was so gorgeous. It really tasted great. So she gave me the recipe. I've made it. Quite honestly, excuse my language, it looks like dog's poo, and not far off tasting like it as well. What
You're
is
doing
it?
a good sales job here, Eric.
Yes,
You're doing
now
great.
she does it brilliantly. What is it that I'm lacking? And when I do it, it's sort of
Did you?
yeah.
Did you add dog shit to it?
It's funny you should say that.
Now we are in the fear factory, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, you've
But
got to watch out for
actually,
that stuff.
Talking about things like that, I actually think the government has got shit. The MPs have got shares in toilet rolls. Seriously, because the more fear they pump out, the more toilet roll sales go up. So they've got. I'm positive that, I'm going to now. Again, it's going to be Andrew Bridger news coming up. So stay tuned, Andrew Bridger news, and I'm raising the excitement because I'm going to ask: have all MPs got shares in toilet rolls? And that's why toilet roll manufacturing. That's why they put out so much fear porn. Think about that.
I bet they've got shares in the sewage farms though. Well, let's be honest, they spread a lot of that, don't they? Every bloody day. So yeah, so they probably do actually. Thinking about it. You don't think this fear thing is out also with regards to you notice that they keep pumping that crap out, saying, "Oh, we got about the all the heat that's coming down, all the you know, it's going to cause problems. The trains derailing at the moment, which are obviously deliberately done. You know what I mean? It's a lot of crap. I don't remember trains ever derailing on because it was hot. Never. But of course, years ago, you used to have the old clickety clack, which stopped that.
Well, Pink Planet said, I love the summer. So do I. I like spring and summer. Long may it continue. Yes. I love not dealing with mud. Being a great day today. Yes, I agree. But once upon a time, with steam trains, they didn't derail. I don't know, steam trains, you know, there's not many derailments with steam trains. And why is it they didn't worry about leaves on the line and things like that? And the good thing about old trains, you could open the bleeding window in the carriages. Can't do that anymore.
Oh God, yeah.
So
you can, air conditioning, you can shove that, because I must be honest, open windows on trains is the best air conditioning you can ever get. It's brilliant. But that thing with the leaves on the line is actually legit, because it causes even for not so much modern trains, definitely, because they're light and shit, but even the older order, like the older diesels and stuff, it would cause problems. And they send out what they call the leaf busting trains now every autumn, the RHTTs, which fire a jet of water at the track surface, the railway line surface, to clear any mulch and crap off of it, because apparently that affects train sliding. And if you've ever have a look at some of the accidents we've had, there was one in where was that, in something like Greenford or something that way, where the unit applied the brakes and it basically just slid and ended up through the station, basically, out the other side.
Well, you've got a good point there. But going back to bicycles, Mike Anthony said, ain't it funny how the only people we see on push bikes now are, except, of course, excluding Paul and myself, are older people. All the kids are riding around on electric bikes and scooters, lazy buggers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that, Paul?
You know, the whole thing, it might be right, actually. I mean, the last time I seriously rode a bike was back in 2006. So that's 20 years ago. So I was in my mid-40s then, and I really caned it. It was great. In fact, I caused one of the veins on my calf to pop right out. It's just about gone back in now, putting too much force through your legs when you're going up hills. But we had a couple of young lads ride with us. They were just fantastic riders. They were brilliant. They were mountain bike guys, and then they'd picked up road bikes. And there's a great camaraderie in little cycling things. Because my mate over the road, he had this great definition about cycling. I was talking about it earlier today, I think. Cycling is when you invite your friend out for a ride and you hurt him.
Yes.
That's what
by the way,
it's about
Paul,
pain, and if you don't like pain, and a bit of pain's good, it is. Do you still get? I used to get really angry at hills. I really sort of like, it's insane, really. I'm looking at myself going, what are you getting? I want to get up this thing. And it's just, I'm not getting off the bike, you know. And I remember riding up one when I was really, and I just fell off. I just couldn't go any further. And I was really cross about it. Yeah, I was. I didn't have any gears. I just had a fixed wheel. So when I started going up hills, I had to pedal all the way up. Couldn't stop, no brake, nothing. And it's a great way to get fit, but it's also a great way to collapse in a heap as well.
I live on a hill, so when I go anywhere, I'm going downhill. It's fantastic. Wee, all this. Of course, sorry, I should have remembered.
How does it go, Eric? Do that wee thing again. How does it go?
Well, I should have remembered to go before I left, you see. So you go wee down the road, you see, leave a trail.
Yep.
But coming back, oh, bloody hell, it's standing on a pedals jobby, you know, the old Tour de France business. And, but when you're on a bike, the main thing is cool shades. That's what you need. A nice pair of cool high. Yeah.
Cool shades.
Yeah, because did I tell you that time when
what shades have you got? Have you got actual cycling shades?
Bloody expensive ones. I got them from a place called Poundland. From a pound.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, I got some ones for £1, and people would say, "Oh, they're expensive." I go, "Oh yeah, I got them in Poundland, man.
I paid a whole £1 for these, madam."
And now what happens, you see, is my neighbour gave me his racing bike because he didn't really like it very much. So I said, all right, you know. And I always wanted a racing bike. And first time I used it, I went out the front of my house and sort of put my cool shades on, got on the bike. So, hey, cycle around a corner, a woman around a corner, went, hello, and fell arse over tit.
So are these goggles you've got then, are they sort of like Top Gun style? So they're so you look like Maverick when you're cycling down there.
Yeah.
They are, yeah. They serve two purposes. Obviously, for you to deal with the sun, although in England, other than this year, it's generally not an issue, is it? But the main thing is it keeps flies out your eyes. That's pretty good, particularly on a descent and stuff, because you get one of them whacking you in the eye. You can't see out. You know.
I wear glasses, and I'll tell you what. Flies always find their way inside the glasses. Nothing else. Whatever skill flies have got,
they have.
They are very much in. Even when you're on a push bike, you can be cycling fairly quickly, and a fly will still get in your glasses. You think, well, what the chance of that? It's going to be very slim.
I know. You know what? I wish these were really the biggest problems we were actually facing, don't you?
Yes.
Like things like young people not riding enough bicycles and flies in your eyes and stuff like that. It'd be fantastic. It'd be really good. And even leaves on the line is relatively low down the whole thing. But obviously there's some really if we really want to ramp the fear up, we can really... I heard a thing that just set me off the other day. Benjamin Netanyahu, that genius.
Oh, not Netanyahu, the President of the United States, I think.
Yeah, but you know how there are kind of plots within plots and everything's sort of set up as a big chain reaction. So he said something the other day along the lines of Britain being a nuclear power and becoming an Islamic state means that, the gist of it was that Islam's going to have a nuclear weapon. We can't allow that. And I thought that's really interesting. I thought, who enabled them all to come in here? Well, the unmentionables did, right?
Correct.
So you can think some planning meeting, I'm serious, like a long time ago, we go, what we do is we flood it with that. Then we resist it or appear to in public, but actually we're organising it all. And then we empower them through hidden channels with money and NGOs to actually gain power and to have the vote and all this other thing, stuff which we've never agreed to, but which our compromised and utterly corrupted bureaucratic elites have because they're in thrall to the global spibs. And then what we do is we make out that we allow them to sort of get power, and then we make out that, and that gives us a reason to actually sort of deal with Britain or with England or whatever, and all this, that, and the other. And down the line, it's like a long-term traitor disease that's morphed into this terrible thing. It's just chains, generation after generation of people in positions of authority who have been English and Scots and Welsh, who are of the worst type, who have betrayed their own people into the hands of some globalist agenda. Yeah.
Paul, Sam has said we don't hear Paul English's voice on FFT radio.
Well, that's a bit weird because I'm talking to you here, aren't we?
Strange. Oh, well.
I mean, is that still going on? Let me just check. There's no reason why. I mean, if we're hearing everybody else, why would they not hear me? Am I sort of banned?
Maybe
you're banned from Food for Thought Radio, even though you run it.
maybe Food for Thought Radio sort of ends at Watford.
Well, if I say something now, hey, it's true. I'm not going through, or am I going through? Let me just have a look.
Can you hear Paul on Food for Thought Radio? If anybody's on there, I think it should be. I can't hear Paul English. This is Mark Anthony said on Food for Thought Radio, only coming through on YouTube. Oh, and also must be on Rumble as well.
Should we ask the question, can you hear Chris and myself?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave the studio and come back in again. Okay, so I don't know what's going on. I'll just leave and come back in.
We'll talk about it while you're not here, don't worry.
Well, good. Hang on. I'll see you in a second.
Right.
Weird.
Missing you already.
Very weird.
Miss you already, yeah. But right.
That Paul English, I'll tell you what. I'm joking.
Right, so we're coming back again. I'll tell you what, whilst Paul's gone, Paul, turn your microphone off. We can hear the train being pulled. Do you remember that? Was it Naked Gun? Where he's at this conference, he forgets to take his microphone off. He gets
He's drinking the three jugs full of water, and he goes in there.
Well, now Exo says yes, he is. I can hear Eric and Anorak on Food for Thought Radio, so that's interesting. And then where's Paul? He's gone a long time, hasn't he? But what I was going to do is do a poll on who you think is the greatest traitor in the 20th and 21st century of this country? Is it Winston Churchill? Oh, is he back again? Add to stream. Mate, is it all sorted?
Well, I don't know what the problem could have been, but hang on just a minute. No, I'm actually not going out on the radio. That is really weird. I have no idea why. If you can hear me in the studio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's only picking your voice up. Strange.
How strange.
It's not picking me up at all. That is just absolutely beyond weird.
You're being heard on YouTube, though, and Rumble, which is...
Yeah, but there's no reason why I shouldn't be here. I mean, if... This is just
Oh,
bizarre.
hang on. Exo says, no, you cannot. No, you can't pick you up on Rumble either. Oh, hang on. Exo says, yes, you can. Yeah, so you can hear you on Rumble.
But why me?
Exo on Food for Thought Radio. That's very strange, that is. That is very odd.
Yeah, it just doesn't... let me just check something here. No, if you're hearing me, I'm hearing you. Okay, I'll have to go then. It's a bit weird. I'm actually looking at it right now, and as I'm talking, there's literally nothing coming out from me into the radio. Absolutely bizarre. That means the recording's shot to pieces for this part of the show. I have no idea why. You're making plenty of sound.
Yeah.
It's just listening to the studio, and we're all making a noise in it. So, what fun.
That's weird.
No, so all they can hear, the Exos come back and says, no, Paul, just you two on Food for Thought Radio. So they can hear Anorak and myself, but they can't hear you. But they can hear you on YouTube and another one. How strange.
Rumble.
And Rumble. Can you work it out, Paul?
Yeah.
I can't.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to refresh Food for Thought Radio's connection to your studio. Let's just do that and see what happens.
Okay. Shall I do anything? Shall I turn it off or switch it off? Are you going to do it?
No, you don't have to do anything. You've got a show going out, so don't worry about that.
Right.
Incredibly
the old
weird.
classic switch it off and switch it back on again. That always works.
Yeah. That's always a way. Because we're going to announce soon the Andrew Bridden news. So it's coming up, folks. So yeah, stand by your beds. Here we go.
Well, I was going to say with regards to the fear factor thing, I was going to mention something rail related on that. Oh, Food for Thought Radio's gone.
Yeah, it has gone. It's all right. It's going to come back.
I said it would. I said it would.
It's going to come back any minute now.
It doesn't make any sense though.
Right. It was might be the hot weather. Oh, right. Okay. Now we're back with Food for Thought Radio. I'll just check it in my. Yeah, it's there. Food for Thought Radio is on. It's streaming. It seems to be okay. Can you hear Paul in Food for Thought Radio? Everyone, Paul, over to you.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Yeah, I'm there now. I'm there.
But I can hear Paul on Food for Thought Radio. Fantastic. That's great. Sorry, you was going to say
they were all the best bits. All my really intelligent stuff was in the first 20 minits. I'm just going to talk rubbish from now on. This is ridiculous. What a weird thing. That was so weird. Did it just pick on me? It just picked on me.
Is it because
outrageous.
Chris and I were already in there talking, and then Food for Thought Radio came on, and then you joined? Is that why? Do we have to all be on before the radio station starts?
No, because if somebody called into this show, Eric could just patch them into this studio and everything. Yeah. I just think it's just one of those technical doodads that you just couldn't possibly anticipate. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, the fact that we're all hearing one another here, FFT's just listening to us all talk, but it wouldn't listen to me.
Weird.
Bloody hell, betrayed. It's like Frankenstein and his monster betraying him.
Could it be?
I don't know what to say.
Because we mentioned Benjamin Nucky Knickers, because what we were saying before, whilst you was zooming off, was that when you look at famous traitors, I mean, I was going to call this show the Delmar Effect after Sefton Delmar, because he turned utter traitors into heroes. For example, Churchill bankrupted this country, was responsible for unnecessary deaths, not only in this country but also in India, and completely screwed the country up. And of course, he's hailed as a hero. Then we had Edward Heath. Well, he's not really hailed as a hero, but there he was with his teeth. Screwed this country up again. And then you got Margaret Thatcher, who did fantastic work for the Fabians by preparing this country, destroying our industry. And of course, you got Blair, who went a stage further and destroyed our culture. So I want to do a poll on Telegram on who we could vote as the greatest traitors. Is there any other traitors? Does anybody care to mention here?
There'll be loads, Eric, really. I mean, there'll be tons of them. I think, some of them inadvertently as well. Like even unbeknownst to themselves, were doing things probably with the best intentions that turned out to be incredibly destructive. And probably part of the reason for that is that it strikes me that so few people, going back a long way, who are involved in politics, really understand the actual ground rules of how you engineer a nation. I don't think they understand it. They're involved. That's a cocky thing to say, isn't it? But I don't. I mean, there's very little evidence to suggest that they do. By their fruits shall ye know them. Okay, so what are the fruits of government? Well, for the past couple of 100 years around here, wars, commercial acquisition for private hands at public expense, manipulation of media. I mean, it's non-stop. We've got an internal war that has been disguised by the media so it doesn't exist because, we're all in it together and it's about this nation and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And everybody goes, yeah, great. And we won a war or something. And then you turn around and say, what is it that you actually won? You go, oh, yeah. No, well, we don't want you to look at that. Don't stop making trouble. All this kind of stuff. The whole of this communication space being policed to the degree that it is, and them having access to, I suppose, evolved psychiatric evaluation units that look at how we can be kept permanently off balance, has unfortunately been devastatingly effective. And also, the other thing I was thinking about the other day is up to, what was I watching the other day? I was watching something about, Alfred the Great. And then, so they were fighting their battles on horses with swords and axes, right?
Yeah.
They were still fighting battles on swords with axes in the 1400s and the 1500s, right? Yeah. Everything was swords and axes and shields.
Up close and personal as well.
Up to a point, and then firearms arrived. Now, I don't know quite when they were. I know probably in our case, the so-called English Civil War is when it really happened. And of course, surgery developed massively because it was dealing with men that were injured by ballistics during the English Civil War. So we don't know exactly, because they had cannon as well by then. So I don't know when the first cannon actually rocked up, but those things were all going on.
And in the Civil War, they had hand grenades, would you believe? Seriously.
Yeah, they did.
Very crude ones.
A petard, isn't that what it is?
Yeah, they sort of lob it. Yeah.
Hence the phrase to be hoisted by your own petard is for it's sort of like to blow you up in the whole thing. Yeah. So that's actually a long, long time. In fact, they weren't conducting warfare much different to the way that the Trojans had conducted, or the Greeks, or anybody else going back thousands of years, or the Egyptians even. It was people on horses with spears and shields and arrows. And that was it, right? Since then, we've had all this sort of supposed advancement in warfare and all the things that have knocked on with that. And the thing that's come with that is an acceleration of the psychological analysis of your enemy. And they've taken all this and applied it to civilian populations. And now we have a situation where up until the mid-1800s, all we had was newspapers and books and theatre, if you could afford it. And then you get radio, and you get the arrival of the paperback in the 20th century. Paperbacks didn't used to exist. If you wanted to buy a book.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you couldn't buy them, well, you couldn't buy a normal book. Most working class people couldn't because they cost a lot of money, and they were expensive to make with the technology of the time.
Libraries, I suppose.
Hence libraries, and they're wonderful libraries. The whole idea of them is just fantastic. I love the idea of a library, and in fact, you could say that maybe people going to libraries, they actually read better. I remember when I was younger going to our local one, and of course they have a reading room, don't they? Yeah. And being 12 or something and hardly ever being silent, it was quite interesting to go into a room where you knew you had to be and practicing being silent. And I quite liked it. It's kind of weird, isn't it, at first? And you go, ooh, I want to make a noise. In fact, did you just go in and make a noise just to see what you sounded like? People, you do when you're a kid, don't you? And, get out of here. This is a side. Shh. This is
there's
a
the
reading
bogey chair as well that everybody avoided. And that's where the bloke old Dave Spencer would sit there picking his nose. That was the bogey chair. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, things have changed so much since our day, but they really have. And you just take it in your stride because you can't do anything else. I mean, you can't, can you? You've got to. Well, now we've got a situation where we've got all these data centers, and no one's even explained what they're for, why there are so many, why they're consuming so much water. There's literally, you just need them for AI. Why? What do we? What's the point of it?
That's why we've got these droughts, isn't it?
It is. It's part of it.
These droughts everywhere, and water shortages, and the. I was going to say, I think on the back of what you were saying, I think some of the biggest traitors are the people in government now, because they are basically bringing that war to us. They're at war with us.
They are, but they're part of a long line of unconscious governance, is what I would say. Well, they're not fully conscious. All they're interested in is them winning some kind of a conflict with us, which has no causative reason to really exist. It's just mad. You go, why? Why are you doing that? I mean, no, we've got to keep the people down. It's like an implicit command in their operating system and going, why? It's so ancient. It's like prehistoric attitude. So all the technology that we've created to actually alleviate or remove that situation, it hasn't worked. Like, we've had computers for a long time, right? PCs and little networks and things. And if you look at them, you go, what has it really benefited the working man? I don't think so. Well, I mean, it just hasn't.
It hasn't. Now, sorry, mate, carry on, because I was going to read out.
I was saying, it's a bit like this bullshit about the electric vehicle, isn't it? That if the government believe that electric vehicles are the answer, then how come we're in the hottest summer in 50 years? There's more electric cars and electric buses on the roads now than ever, but we're still in the hottest summer that we've had in many, many, many years. But also, it's also the fact that they sell this idea of an electric vehicle, but then the electric charging points are plugged into a diesel generator, and people still think they can't put two and two together. Think, well, hang on a second, we've got the electric vehicles, and that's a diesel generator. So I'm doing exactly the same as if I was driving a diesel car or a petrol car, for that matter. I think it's every aspect that
they've got. You're right. Every aspect, Paul, because they've got that context of retaining control. So the technology is never fully given over in a way that actually would benefit us. It just appears to. And they cement the appearance through the media. Oh, this is great. And we all go, yeah, it is great, But the end result is, does it actually really work for us? Like I mentioned before, if computers were really applied properly, you wouldn't need the civil service on the scale that it is.
Agreed.
You wouldn't need the completely corrupted so-called law system with all of its linguistic complexities, which is created as a defense mechanism to cover up its own failings. Yeah. So, and you go, well, why? Well, because it's got to be in great part the fact this adversarial attitude that is a hangover from when times were tougher, much, much tougher, much more direct. We were just talking there about battle and stuff. It's pretty sort of direct situation, right? There wasn't any Red Cross or anything like that. If you're in a scrap, if that guy gets the first axe blow in, you're probably dead. And that's that. And it's all kind of over, and there weren't any sort of recovery service. There's no Red Cross running around on the battlefield to save people. But still, it didn't resolve much. Now we have a situation where everything is so incredibly sort of multi-layered and complex, but it's fundamentally still the same game. And it's this attitude of us and them, and we didn't create it, did we? And I think this is why the peasant... And I class myself when it's always kind of bemused, and maybe it's because we're thick or something, because you keep looking and going, what's the problem, mate? I mean, how big a house do you need? Isn't it? So, if you look at really the best elements of the Christian ethic, and I mean this, the best stuff, it is about community welfare and naturally just looking after your neighbours. But because we've all been subtly pitched into competition with one another, very subtly done, through their control of currency systems and the withholding of wage packets and so on and so forth, they keep basically all of us slightly at each other's throats. Not here in this space. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's as a general pressure on society. That's what's taking place.
You've got a good point. I mean, I put something on Telegram. I think it was today or yesterday. And what I was saying is that we've been conditioned to worship idols. Now, for example, people, we now look back and we think, well, how did crowds and crowds of people worship Roman emperors? And they were looked on as if they were. Because I saw a little bit of the film Gladiator, which is historically inaccurate, but it's a very good film.
It's a bloody good film.
Oh yeah, but it's totally inaccurate. But the thing is that people worship the emperors, and then as not that long ago, when you look from a sort of historical point of view, you had poor sods in Japan in World War II committing suicide, kamikaze warriors, and most of them were teenagers, and a lot of them were conned into doing it because of the emperor. And who was the emperor? Some old fart, short-sighted old fart that nobody had ever seen. Because the first time they actually heard the emperor's voice was when he announced the surrender of Japan. It's about that they never heard. Because to speak Japanese, you've got to suffer from chilblains and constipation.
Are you pushing out a racial stereotype here, Eric? I'm shocked and appalled.
Yes. I work with Japanese man, and he got I heard him on the phone once, So that's it. But really, it's this worshipping of icons, and then, we go part with politics. A lot of people.
Can I add one on to that then, Chris? Because ultimately, that's what religion is. When you think about it, religion is worshipping, like.
Yes.
No offense, I'm pointing an offense on here, and this is no offense meant in any way, shape, or form, but people worship Jesus, for example, but they worship someone who's dead, because people, you have a cross with a dead person on it, and you go and say a prayer to it. Well, he's dead. Worship the life of him, yes, but why are you looking at a cross that's where someone's been basically nailed to it, assuming that really took place, and then you. Yeah, I don't get that. I can understand people saying. Well,
I bet you get it, Paul.
But what about people that worship Kennedy? Do they have a rifle that they worship? And they have like a symbol, like a rifle.
Yeah,
he got killed by. So I'm with Kennedy. I mean, sorry. I mean, it's just sort of.
What is worship anyway? What is it?
I worship Jesus that much. I went and bought a hammer and some nails from B&Q. I do it every year on his birthday.
Yeah, but the thing is, we weren't there. We might have been if we have reincarnation, but we weren't there, so we don't really know. And it's strange. I mean, politicians, people worship politicians, and I'm about to announce Andrew Bridgen. Right, are we ready? Drum roll. I wrote an email to him last Monday, and I haven't had a reply yet. He hasn't got back to me. No, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Well, I was going to add on to that about this with the fear as well. And I'm sure at the moment, obviously with the fear they're putting out at the moment, the current one is obviously we know they've been attacking the road user, i.e., the car driver with endless roadworks. But now that I noticed they're targeting the trains and the buses, I noticed that London bus drivers are now threatening to strike because of how hot it gets on board the buses. And of course, the other side of it is the railways are now scaring people by saying, well, we can't run trains because they might derail on warped tracks. I don't remember warped tracks in my youth when I remember trains running perfectly fine. And even down to I don't know if you guys use trains much at all now.
No.
But along our line here, they've reduced the 4-coach service to 2 coaches. So those trains are now busier than ever. Or you'll get a 4-coach train turn up and then they'll kick everybody off at Shrewsbury, put them onto a 2-car, which is then naturally full. Well, these are all little tactics to stop people travelling. Because if you think to yourself, well, I'm not going to be able to get on board that, so I just won't bother going. And if everybody else thinks like that, and they'll say, well, the trains are empty, we'll just cancel them then. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's every aspect of life that's being targeted at the moment. And I'm sure that's why they bought the railways back in-house.
But that's right.
So they're state-owned.
But look at wars now. I actually think, apart from World War II, that wars are instigated by a death cult, because it seems very, very weird that when you look at every war, for example, look at the poor souls that all got killed in the First World War going over the top, German and British and American and everybody involved. What do those poor sods die for? Seriously, what did they die for? If they could see the country the way it is today. The other one was Vietnam. Vietnam people, Americans, are now retiring to Vietnam. Who could have ever have dreamt of that during the Vietnam War, which wasn't over that long ago? And World War II, something that this country needn't have got involved in. Like Mark Manchester says, a certain group of people after World War II, I wonder who they could be, saw homogeneous countries as a possible threat after Germany was defeated. That's the why we're here now. That's my view anyway. Very good point.
I think that's pretty much. I mean, even Paul you were just talking there about trains. It doesn't really matter what the form of it is. I mean, it does, obviously, in terms of if you're a train user in this particular case. But that's kind of down the pecking order of what the issue is. I think that's a symptom of the issue. The issue is that not in recent times, but for hundreds, if not thousands of years, there is a spiritual warfare taking place in the earth. And it's long-standing. And nearly all of these wars between states and nations and all they have one thing in common, which they have this hand in it. They have this disruptive element in it. They have a sort of internationalist traitor class that's embedded in all these nations. And it's to do with the attitude of these people towards other people. And it won't change. I don't think it's going to change. And I just coming back to scripture, this is why it says, "Thou shalt not let the alien live amongst you." It's really basic stuff, because if you do, it says they become the head and you become the tail. Now, everybody goes, "Oh, we're all the same. We're all going to get." We're not, right? And this is not me hating the other people. It's an acknowledgement of the fact that we are fundamentally different. The operating systems running people are different. They're not better or worse. They're certainly better for you and your tribe. You've got an operating system. You know what the standards are, or lack of them. This, that, and the other. So this whole globalist thing is literally the road to hell being paved with what appears to be good intentions. And loads of people have fallen for it repeatedly for centuries. Suckers who will not man up about our direct responsibility to our own people, whoever your people may be. And I think that's it. And this is why, like when Ford says, most Christians read their Bible wrong because they read it through Jewish spectacles. That's a key part of it, because this whole sort of cosmopolitan, one world, global communism stuff, it literally breaks all the laws. That's what it does. It breaks all of them, and they're absolute laws. And this is why we're in a state of distress and anxiety. And of course, you're not going to hear this in a church. And if there were a church that talked like that, I'd probably go to it. But if I started talking like that, they say, we can't, because this is hurtful to other people. Who it's hurtful to is us for not speaking out. That's what it is. But the fact is, it's so far gone, it would seem. I'm not trying to talk myself out of it, although you do all the time. It's so far gone that the amount of traction you have in the lug holes of the potential listeners is very low. And people don't realise just how far we've fallen. And we really have fallen a long way. We've fallen a long, long way. And I'm not against modern comforts or anything like that. It makes us live longer. I know we're saying that we're not, but we are. And I've lived an extremely physically comfortable life in comparison to, say, 100 years ago. If I'd have been born in 1860, I'd have probably been dead by 1895 or something. Things were short-lived. It was a much more severe proposition. You could argue, though, that maybe in those older times, even though you didn't live as long from a year point of view, you actually lived a more fuller life.
Well,
you lived one where you were in charge of your own fate and your own destiny, and that had its own things.
But they reckon that with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, more people survived birth because we got cleaner, but the average age went down because there's loads and loads of photographs when Fox Talbot was around and photography was just sort of starting in the 1850s and 60s of people well over 100 in those days who were born before the Industrial Revolution.
Same thing.
So
Aren't we supposed to be living for like 200, 300, 400 years with the right health?
we're not.
And looking after
would you
ourselves
really want to?
properly?
Would you want to live that long round here? Seriously,
Yes.
it's a miserable process. I mean, if you spend a lot of time looking at it, it's demoralizing. It is. It does wear people down, and this is part of it as well. Our will, the way that we would naturally live, is not being expressed, and it's certainly not taken up by the people that purport to lead us, right? And they don't lead us; they're just leading us into the pit because they've already signed up with the other side. So it's just the appearance of a government, but it's actually something quite the opposite, isn't it? Everything's infiltrated.
Do you both feel as though since we had the eclipse, though, that the atmosphere and the air around us seems a lot clearer? Since I felt since the eclipse took place on Wednesday, there's the head pressure and stuff has disappeared off. It seems as though something changed on the back of that, and we've not had any chemtrails since that day either. So I don't know whether there's maybe this is the
Can't
start
say
of
I've
the
noticed
new
actually,
world.
but yeah,
But you went on that out bike. That's going to be a good starting point.
Yeah. Newton said, worshipping as a form of belief, same as everything else, you believe it is not what you know. Believe a lot and know very little. But an interesting one here is what Sam said. And Sam said, religion gives the individual bad reasons to do good things and bad justifications to do bad things. What do you think? Interesting.
Well, I think there's some truth in that. I mean, the whole it's tricky looking back on it. Like I'm watching this thing at the moment called is it The Last Kingdom? I keep getting the name of it wrong. It's this it's about Alfred the Great and stuff, and it's a blast. I'm quite enjoying it actually. It's obviously got a fictional element in it, just like Gladiator did, to create a sort of driving point in the plot. And how true it is, well, parts are true. I've seen bits that are true, and other bits, I guess, are elaborate, and this, that, and the other. And Alfred is portrayed as somebody who's very religious in this. And it doesn't strike me as being the way it would have been. That's just me, right? I don't know. The writers didn't know. This is their attempt at it. I think it's an honourable attempt. Christianity as an organised religion comes across in this thing as being a bit goofy, but I've thought it's a bit goofy anyway, because I don't think it's actually in line with actually what's written in the book, as you well know. It takes a long time to discover that. But then it's difficult. Were we alive during that period, you and I in the village might see very good reasons for it. It might have actually provided a tremendous amount of comfort, but along with that comes problems like power in the church, right?
And infiltration.
That's the problem with it.
Well, you look at the Quakers. Now, Quakers look very interesting because Hertfordshire has a long tradition of Quakers. One of the oldest meeting houses is actually in the capital in Hertford. And it's, I don't know how many years, hundreds of years old it is. And what I like about Quakers is that they're pacifists. They're very interesting. They discuss things. You go onto their website, it's been infiltrated. You can tell it's been infiltrated because there's nudge routines in there, and you can tell that government agents have been in and they've completely ruined it. Same with the peace organisations. And I think most religions have been infiltrated. I'm positive they have. That's my feeling anyway, allegedly.
Yeah. I
agree.
I don't know what the alternative would have been though, Eric, do you? I mean, it's difficult, it's nice to sit here, isn't it, and sort of be judgmental from a distance, and there's lots to be judgmental about, I think. Rightly so. There's loads of errors that you can see. But it's all to do as soon as it gets a structure and doctrines and things, all of them become about a power base, and they kind of move away from the core message of what it's all about. But they say, well, we're safeguarding it. But once you've created an organisation, all organisations can be infiltrated, and they all are at some point.
You're right. But you ever look at the peace groups? One I went to transformed into a cult. and whatever the leader, self-appointed leader said, the ding-dongs that went along with it, if he said to dislike someone, they'd all dislike the person. They wanted someone to think for them. And it really shook me absolutely rigid of how people change. And I think that people don't like thinking. It's painful. They prefer someone else to do all the thinking for them. And that's the reason why we're going around every week in circles.
Well, that's
you're right, Eric.
Obvious.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah, because you think they, well,
that's come
people
obvious over the last week,
Mhm.
over the weekend. I was trying to teach one of my friends numerology and just explaining basic bits and pieces to it. And obviously, certain numbers mean certain things, as you know, like 38 and 83 both linked to murder, or that's its value in numerology. And I was trying to explain this to this individual about how it works, and I asked him to pick 5 individuals, celebrities he worshipped, should we say, and I said I'd look into them and see if I could find any links within numerology. And the initial one was, we were talking about Anne Whittingham, and I said, well, her killer drove 263 miles to go and kill her. Well, 263 means something in there, was links to Skull and Bones. And one of the people he picked was a chap called Guy Gibson, who was a World War II pilot.
That's right, bomber pilot.
And he died 38 days after his birthday, so that's murder, on day 263. And I still keep being told it's just coincidence. No, it isn't. It's actually they pick those specific dates to kill these people, and they're not It's not by accident at all.
It's too much of a coincidence. It might have one that might be a coincidence, but no, not several.
Not all of them.
But Mark Antony's come out with a beauty here. Everything that's happening to society today points to managed decline. It's part of a long-planned agenda. Spot on, mate.
Yeah.
Spot on. And Pink Planet said, what about the animals that die in wars? Dolphins, sea life, pigeons, dogs, horses, humans meant to be stewards. Well, by the way, thanks for reading my dad's book, Pink Planet. I'm not sure I think he put it in the book, but he saw lots of injured animals during World War II, farm animals and things like that, which really upset him. But yes, he especially after with Normandy, he said it was it's gruesome enough seeing humans dead and dying, but it's also gruesome to see animals in exactly the same situation. So, that's it.
Why do councils treat pigeons as vermin? Because obviously pigeons at one point were deemed as heroes. And it makes you... It's often been mentioned that maybe pigeons are actually people in just a different form. Because pigeons tend to be quite familiar or happy around people. And yet now the people are being prosecuted for feeding them and looking after them and so on. And I can't see what the problem is, to be honest.
Do you know what happened when the telephone was invented? People had pigeons to communicate with each other for years. And when the telephones became more widespread, the domesticated pigeons were just turned out into the wild. That's why pigeons have got an actual link to humans, because they've been used for thousands of years to communicate. That's true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why there's something about humans. You notice you get wood pigeons in the out in the countryside, but they don't stray that far from human habitation. If you go into real remote areas, you won't see pigeons. They like to keep around humans, maybe for the scraps of food, who knows? But there's some link between them and humans. Stephen Truthseeker said, believing in some man-made religious God. Well, what gets me though is my religion's better than your religion, and that's always the same. That's it. It's always the same. Isn't it? My religion's better than your religion, and this kind of one-upmanship is what gets me with religion. Why is there a one-upmanship with it, with faith and things like that? I mean, there's was it the old Dire Straits record? Two men say they're Jesus, one of them must be wrong. Remember that line?
Yeah.
But Now, Pink Planet has given you a little bit of a ticking off here. It says, we're all here to learn, Paul, and give hundreds of lives and have hundreds of lives. So life just a game.
It's true. Yeah, I know. I subscribe to that if I'm the Paul that she's addressing. But I cannot help but be cross about the state of things. That's me personally. I can't. I spend a lot of time looking at more elevated topics than than necessarily what we cover here. And I sometimes think, are we just paddling around in the mire of things and let's just ignore it? But the bottom line, I am reminded, unfortunately, and this is just that there are children and other people who are suffering completely unnecessary, vicious, evil harms. And I think it's a cop-out, personally, for us to not deal with it. So I'm a cop-outer because I've not dealt with it yet. And an individual can't. So I think this is one of the reasons why shows like this, or certainly probably, I don't know if it's your motivation, but it's always been mine. It's not about sort of doing radio. This should be a means to an end. Not that there is an end with any of this, but it's to try and move us into the next phase of actually acting to correct the injustices in the real world, in the flesh and blood, in the way that we operate and do things. I remember a much happier time in this nation than is currently taking place. And
I agree.
You could say, I just do. And I know it sounds like an old fart talking, because guess what? If you're not an old fart yet, you've got it to look forward to. And it's not as bad as it's perceived from the other side. It's actually a different sort of kettle of fish. Yeah. It's
good stuff. I have to say that with regards to what you're saying about like people being suffering and so on, that brings on the question, I know we've just been talking about religion, that is God actually a good individual? Because and I've said this before to you, Chris, that if God is a good entity, then why do we live on such a violent realm? Because everything kills everything else. Doesn't matter what it is, whether you're an ant or whether you're an elephant, something is out there to kill you in some horrible, evil, and fear factor way.
That's right.
Doesn't matter what it is.
What about children that are born disabled? That's what upsets me. Innocent poor little
is
kids.
That what God, the loving God, actually wants to see? Because surely, like you say, like when you get children who are born who are injured, or you got warfare going on, surely if God existed, he'd be putting a stop to this before it even starts.
That's if it works like that, Paul. No, but I don't think it does. I know people anthropomorphize God, and why not? If you find it a more relatable form, people say, he's not a bloke with a big beard and the clouds. I go, yeah, he is. It can be anything he likes, really. It's whatever you imagine it to be. This is part of it, but it's true. I mean, I don't know all the answers to all this kind of stuff, and I completely agree with you. That all this pain and suffering in the world, and I get this question all the time, why does God let this happen? Well, he doesn't. It's us that let it happen. We've been asleep at the wheel. That's what it's about. And if you look at all the good things that have happened in the past, it's when people have not been asleep at the wheel and have committed their lives to correcting it. And some amazing, and we are the recipients of all those committals down through the line. There is a lot of good stuff still around here.
Victorian times is a perfect example.
There's just a lot of good stuff, but you need a moral and ethical people with a bit of backbone who are not babies about this thing. It is tough down here. It's not meant to be easy. At least it doesn't appear to be right now. And if it were, people would then slope off and they become vegetables, which has happened to a great degree. There's got to be an edge to it. Not because I say so, but I can't see it working any other way. Something to make you keep paying attention. And this, to some degree, our attention has been absolutely hijacked into certain areas which don't do us any good. And so, literally, like the amount of time people spend reading books, I know it sounds pathetic, and on one level it is, but it produces a different type of consciousness and a more patient approach to life. And it's required, I think, if you're going to build something of substance. So anyway, I can't stop it just by saying these words. It's just an observation, really. I don't think anybody could stop it, but what this word progress is bandied around and going, progress towards what? Exactly.
Well, that's right. We should be more inner happiness we should progress towards, because Exo's come out with a very good come on here. It says the average death rate in Lancashire, Yorkshire textile mills at the point of technical shift was 19 years old.
Yeah,
That's how long
dangerous
it-
places.
Yeah.
Dangerous places.
Yes. And I've got an interesting story about Yorkshire mills. If anybody's interested, it's a true story. Do you want to carry on, fellas, about what you were saying, or do you want to hear the true
Don't mind,
story?
Eric, it's your show.
No,
Well,
carry on.
I worked with a chap. Now, you've probably heard this before. His surname was Kalashnikov. That's actually interesting. He said, yeah, it's Russian. I said, are you Russian? He said, no. And his grandmother was 16 years of age when she escaped the Russian Revolution. And her family were extremely rich. And she escaped across a frozen lake with some servants. And when they got to, I think it was the Netherlands, the servants went their way and she went her way, and she landed in Great Britain penniless. And she went from riches to rags, and eventually she got work in a Yorkshire mill, textile mill. And she fell in love with a chap who was in his 40s, and she was about 20 odd at that stage. And his surname was Smith. And to keep the name on, he changed his name by default to Kalashnikov, and they named their sons and their children that they had with Russian names like Alexander and and whatever. This chap I can't remember his name now, but he had a Russian name. And he said that the stories his grandmother said were absolutely incredible. But it's a story that ends nicely because she found the love of her life. And he said this man was an absolute, he's like a father to her as well as her husband. And that's why his name was Kalashnikov. And
sounds like a shotgun wedding, to be honest.
Oh dear. It went with a bang, didn't it? But no, it's quite an interesting one. And Exo said it was a spinning Jenny era. The average age was 19. That's interesting. Very interesting. But back to the Vietnam War. I didn't know this. Stephen Truthseeker said the Americans or the US Army left the dogs behind in the Vietnam War. I didn't know that. Did you?
They might have had a better life in Vietnam. You don't know.
Well, they would
Unless
end
they
up
got
with the
eaten.
soap. Yeah, but eaten, wouldn't they?
I was going to say that, but I thought I'd leave it to you.
Yeah, Fido on toast, But Exo says Alfred is a bit wimpy looking compared with the Viking dude. Is that the same series?
Yes, you're right. He is. Alfred is a bit wimpy looking. Yeah, he is. His jaw's too small, isn't it? It's not the way I envisaged Alfred, of course. But then I've been influenced by that statue of him, so it's difficult to know, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting though, because really England is formed because of the great influx of Danes and the Danelaw, and the merging with the Saxons and the Celts and the Britons to form us. But because they were racially kith and kin, even though we knocked 10 bells out of one another, it kind of worked. But that sort of knocking 10 bells thing didn't stop. It stopped for a long time, and it's really never gone away. It's just done in a slightly different way. It's a bizarre thing when you think about it. So the government have to sell you on the idea that we're a unified nation and all this, and we're unified so long as we do what they tell us to do, and we're the ones that do the dying, and they're the ones that pick up the loot.
Well, you look at it, for instance, going back to the kamikaze pilots. The old fart who was the emperor. Sorry about that if you're Japanese. He lived to a ripe old age, didn't he? He didn't get. I mean, he didn't actually, shall we say, show by example. He didn't get into an aeroplane and splatter himself all over the American aircraft carrier, did he? No. He was
Probably
very
not.
comfortable.
No.
But now this isn't.
all,
sorry, carry on, Paul. Yeah.
I'll say it's always those people who give out the orders who then die peacefully in their sleep, isn't it? While the people who they've ordered out to go and, like I say, get squished on a aircraft carrier or get shot a million times by some German or whatever. The people who give out the orders always die pleasantly and happy, don't they?
Yeah. Well,
it's wrong. Which again goes back to the God thing.
Stephen Truthseeker, he remembers my story from a couple of years back. you can always smell Jerry Hayes' armpits.
I wish I knew what you were talking about.
Right, very quickly. I used to leave work early on Fridays, go to Liverpool Street, and get on the carriage, which is half first class and half second class. That's what the experienced people did, because most people thought it was all first class, and it wasn't, you see. So I sat down about 3:30 in the afternoon, got my old Evening Standard out, and I was just starting to read it, thinking, I'm going to relax for the weekend, Friday. And suddenly there was a, hello! What the heck's that? And it was Jerry Hayes. Now, does anybody remember Jerry Hayes, the Conservative MP for Harlow?
No.
No. Well, he was in Thatcher's government quite a few years back. And this was well after that time. And now, normally, if you see somebody at the back of the carriage, the natural thing is to walk down the corridor and speak to the people. No, he decided to announce to the rest of the carriage how marvellous he was, how incredible he was, etc., etc., etc. And when someone got on, he's turned around and he said, oh, do you wish to come past? He said, no, I'm standing here for the benefit of my health. So where a normal person would step back into the main concourse of the train, no. He leans across me, crushes my paper sideways, and I get a whiff of ministerial armpit. And I was getting really pissed off by this time. And when the bell goes for the train to go and the doors close, he goes, oh, well, I'll leave you peasants to it. Of course, I've got parliamentary, whatever it is, and can go first class. The bastard walks off into the first class carriage. I've never forgotten that.
See, so that's the one downside to having trains with doors that you can press the button on. See if you'd have been doing that journey sort of 10 or 15 years earlier, it'd have been a slam door train.
Yes.
You could have easily opened the door and kicked him out.
Oh, that would have been heavy.
And then shut the door.
Yeah.
It would have kept the warmth in.
But the bastard could go first class. Cheeky bastard. Yeah. I'll leave you. He said it in a joking way. I'll leave you peasants to it because I can go first class. But anyway, who's heard of Jerry Hayes now? He's long gone, isn't he? Here today, gone tomorrow. Politician.
Bit like all of us, Eric.
Yes.
Sorry, I've been taking my cheery tablets today.
Oh, well. yes. But, Sam has said, I don't know why it hasn't shown up on the screen. Come on, there it is. Should be. Just listened to some reverse speech and an analysis of some cult leaders or religious leaders. That's right. Have you ever heard of reverse speech?
Yeah, there's a guy that Jeff Rense has on regularly. I can't listen to it too long, though. I find it, look, it may be true, but I just find it a bit thin. And that's just, that's probably a reflection on me. But I get exhausted listening to it. I'm going, it doesn't sound anything like that.
So
yeah, I just like it straightforward. That's it. Yeah. I'm happy with that at the moment. So, but there may well be something in it. Yeah, that people do reveal things in their speech patterns. We better not have this show analysed, otherwise it might turn out that we're all maniacs.
Yes, well, we get Professor Edward Dutton along, shall we? And we'll actually have a word with him because you mentioned a bit about him, didn't you, on the on your show, Paul? Didn't you, on Thursday?
Well, he makes some very good points, I
like him.
He's just, he makes some excellent points about the psychological, for want of a better word, makeup of people on the so-called left. Yes. And
he said, why they're so ugly. Because he used to go to the right-wing groups when he was at university. And he said, because the pretty women went there. Didn't go to the left-wing ones.
No, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's all sorts of in-group reasons why there is that, but there seems to be a sort of an escalation of spite with each generation of them, and I think he talks about it being seated in envy and other really sort of low-grade emotional responses to life. Everybody can't be blessed to look like a movie actor or movie actress. It's not going to happen. But there are lots of people that are not blessed in that way that turn out to be wonderful people. And it's just a different challenge. Of course, if you've bought into the idea that the only way you're going to get on life is if you look like Tom Cruise or like some glamour puss woman, you're going to have a tough time of it. It's just you don't know quite what you're going to get. And maybe their lives are better. I don't know. If you look at the sort of colossal divorce rates and the sort of low-grade venal behaviour that they seem to move towards as the years go by, you think, I don't think so, really. I don't know whether that's really happiness. So, being a humble peasant, the meek can inherit the earth, as it were, in terms of if you get your priorities right. But they seem to be very resentful people. And it taps into that thing that, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And these are the people that proclaim them the most, aren't they? They're always the ones who are proclaiming more than anybody else that they care more about everybody else and that you're an evil nationalist or a Nazi or whatever it is. And you can't actually enter into a communication with them to break that down, because the minute you talk, you're just going to confirm all of their biases. I mean, it's like an unworkable situation, which is the great tragedy of it. The idea of some possibility of civil discourse appears to have evaporated almost 100%. There's probably still a few occasions, but I'm never impressed when I hear them talk.
I agree with you.
Well, I've got to say on that
sorry, go on, mate.
With regards to like people worshipping celebrities and stuff. Well, then all the celebrities out there are owned. They sell their souls for the fame and fortune, and they get bumped off based on numerology. I think I'd rather not have the fame and fortune. I think I'd rather be a peasant and enjoy life as much as possible than be owned and dictated to by whoever it is that owns them. Satan, ultimately, I assume. And of course, they also do the horrible things that we talk about with regards to children and all the other bits and pieces, so they can look youthful, and doesn't change anything, does it? I'd still rather be me than Tom Cruise, for example. I don't have his money, but it still can't bring you happiness.
No. Some of the richest people I know are the most miserable people. Look at Alan Sugar. Have you ever seen him smile? Miserable sod, rolling in money. Yeah. But Aunt Sally said, I've only just joined. Well, you just got out of the bath. Apologies for being late. Oh, by the way, Aunt Sally got an apology to make. You sent me a lovely write-up in July, and I overlooked answering it on Telegram, and I've answered it. So if you're watching or look on your Telegram channel and you see that I've answered it, and I've apologised on there as well. Apologies for being late, and I've no idea what's been said. Satan is the ruler of this world. The Bible says so. Our time here is an apprenticeship test, in my opinion. That's interesting. What do you think?
I think there's a lot to that. Well, I think that a very good case could be made for that. I sound as though I'm not convinced. I've always had a problem with the sort of anthropomorphic presentation of Satan as a thing. I think it's like a direction. But maybe there is a little chap or a big chap running around, causing all this distress. And then the next question would be for why. It's almost, it is a test. It's like a testing space. It's like a very rigorous exam in areas that we feel completely powerless to affect sometimes. You feel completely out of your depth, Particularly when you come out of the education system, you think, we know what life's all about, and I'm going to get a job, and this is what's going to happen. And given that society is stable, there are many, many people who have had very happy, uninterfered with lives, probably more than at any other point. But unfortunately, I guess you tend to look at the people where it's been a disaster sometimes or often, for nothing really that you can put your finger on that they've done. But I don't know how it all works. There is an idea. This comes from a long time back. I know Egypt had this, the Egyptian philosophies, and probably even predates that you are reborn here repeatedly until you get it, as it were, in modern parlance, until you understand what is actually taking place. And I think the physical life is the one that we've currently got, and it's got certain attractions. And we get attached to them. And there's a thing, I think, in Scripture: don't get too attached to this life. Don't. Really? Because, and then we go, well, this is the only, people then say, this is the only one you've got. Well, that has never made any sense to me. It's far too elaborate a situation from my limited understandings for that to have any coherence. It just doesn't make, I just don't get that. I don't agree with it.
Well,
I just think it's an oddity of a statement. I can't say how it could be anything else. And even, that claim, do you believe in God? I go, no, I don't. I don't believe in God. I know God must exist. But the idea of how you would describe what that influence is something else. Like we were just saying earlier.
I think it's an energy, and I don't think anybody really knows what it is. And nor does a bloke with a black frock and his collar back to front know what it is.
Yeah, it's like, we said before, did you create yourself? Did you build your body out of all those? No. And then people go, well, the Anunnaki did it. Okay, fair enough. Let's say that's what they did.
But who created the Anunnaki?
Who built the Anunnaki? What is the force that builds these organisms of which we are one, for want of a better word? What is the force that does that?
That's right.
But what if what we're on is actually... I mean, my opinion on, NASA, I think, just tell us a pack of lies.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if we're just one of many civilizations that have occupied this realm that we're on. Obviously, NASA want us to believe we're in space and that we're insignificant, but I think we aren't. I think we are very significant and we are very important and very powerful individuals. We've just been brainwashed to think that government and all these other institutions are there for our benefit when they're not. I was thinking about this the other day, that if we're supposed, I've said before about communication, that we communicate at the moment via speech, but I do believe we should be communicating through telepathy. And I was thinking about this, is that what telephone is? Because we can use a mobile phone now to contact somebody thousands of miles away, but technically that's via telepathy. I know you're talking to them, but you're still communicating them with the tele bit. I don't know if I'm probably not making much sense there, but you know what I mean.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, my main concern about telepathy would be people starting conversations in my head and knowing how to block it. So, get out. I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm busy. I'm frying eggs. Go away. That kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, if there was a benefit to it, maybe as your vibrational rate increases or as you are reborn into a new life, if that's how it works, and I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest, maybe that is how you do these things. I mean, even if you take the bad guys, right? We've got this idea that there are these people out there not up to no good, and I think there are. What would you do if you confronted them? I mean, it's a problem. Do you actually want to stumble across them? Really? Seriously? What would you actually do?
Well, I suppose we do. I suppose technically we do. I suppose we do pass... we don't know everybody. If you're walking down the street, you don't know what anybody's like. Obviously you see them, but I guess a lot of times people can put on a face, as it were. So you think they're a nice person, but they're not, or vice versa. A lot of time, I suppose, we judge people by how they look, even though they might be the nicest person or they might be the most evil bastard out there. And just a quick thought: is Food for Thought Radio gone? Because I know it's not showing on the left-hand side now.
No, you're right.
It's everything's going tickety-boo. So, that's fine.
Yeah. And by the way,
do you both think we've had... I was going to say, do you both think we've had previous lives as well? Because I think we've had multiple lives on this realm, which is why sometimes we go somewhere that you've never been before, but you still recognise it.
Yes. I think I was probably a lavatory attendant in the previous life or something like that.
I think,
you
probably won't get too much resistance on that idea. Maybe.
Yes. I always like taking a piss,
Yes, this is the fifth time I've been reincarnated as a lavatory attendant. I'm getting a bit tired of this one.
But why is it people always, what is it now, Marie Antoinette or somebody famous? Why couldn't they have been the sort of master of the stool or something like that,
Well, maybe people do, but you just don't hear about those because people want to hear about stories that people think that they're Napoleon or something.
Yeah.
I'm Napoleon and so is my dad, all that kind of stuff, maybe that's just more attractive for newspaper coverage or writing essays or interesting articles or booklets, etc.
It's like the Mirror Celeste. Now, ships were always being found without a crew on in the ocean. And it was usually insurance fraud or something like that. And the reason we know about the Mirror Celeste is because a famous writer who wrote Sherlock Holmes later on was a newspaper reporter, and he wanted to hype it up so that he sold more newspapers. So he did, and he put a load of imagination into it. But the Mirror Celeste was like, and loads of other ships were just found abandoned for reasons that we don't know. So there is. Hang on, who wrote Sherlock? Yeah.
Well, that what you're saying with like the being wanting one of your ambitions is to be a toilet cleaner. I often wonder what the job title is to the people. Like modern trains, they have the chemical cars. You see, rather than dumping it on the track now, it goes into a wasting under the train. But at some point, that needs to be emptied by someone, and I wonder what that job title is for that person who goes along and empties those.
Should empty. What is it? It'd be a cleansing officer, wouldn't it? Or what is it?
It's probably a government worker.
Yeah.
A minister of shit or something. Yeah. But then if they go apply for a job, and then, so what experience have you got? Well, I want to become an MP. Why is that? Because I've been dealing with shit for the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's a good one. But by the way, back to Mirror Celeste, it's Arthur Conan Doyle that actually wrote, was the actual journalist on that report, and Arthur Conan Doyle was fooled by the Cottonley Fairies, wasn't he? That was a hoax. That was in 1917.
It's a good hoax, though. I quite like it.
Oh, it's a classic. I liked it as well. And Baby with a Laser. So Jerry Hayes was always on the James Whale show. James Whale, although he's long gone now, I couldn't stand that man. I just could not. His voice, there was something about it. I don't know what it was, but James Whale. Do you remember James Whale? Anybody?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I think he made it. He came into the scene on Leeds radio when in the late 70s because some of my mates started listening to Late Night with James Whale or whatever, and I just found him condescending and smarmy and overly confident about stuff, and just sort of riding roughshod over callers and things like this, and it becomes tiresome after a while.
Oh, he's a shock job. But that's how he got the numbers up.
Well, it kind of works, for some reason, apparently, or it did back then with all that kind of stuff, yeah. It was kind of interesting, I suppose, because the idea of independent or late-night talk shows was something relatively new to the UK in the 70s because the BBC had a stranglehold on all these things. So suddenly you got that popping up, and Channel 4 popped up with its Roughneck TV and all that kind of stuff. And in some ways, they created some fun, interesting things, but they've just ended up becoming another part of the old wokester situation, haven't they? So, yeah, but I wasn't a fan, I must admit. No.
And I actually found he got more and more mental as time went on. There was something mentally wrong with that man. Very wrong. I don't know quite what it was, but he wasn't the, shall we say, the full ticket. And how he got carried on in broadcasting, I just do not know. Because he was amateur, I found. And he got an award for it, didn't he? I mean,
I think if you create sort of like a radio persona, something which we have yet to do, but you could do one, right? And you stick to it for decades, it becomes kind of fixed, or an alternative sort of personality that you develop because you can do that sort of thing. I mean, I still marvel at Alex Jones being able to shout non-stop about things when nothing that he's ever really shouted about leads to anybody doing any actions that fix it. That's just weird to me. No. This stuff is weird. So that's what I was saying earlier, about all this communicating stuff or printing magazines or doing stuff. The purpose is not to go into the magazine business. It's to actually have something that influences your fellow man in such a way that you see an improvement in life or in our behavior. Maybe that's just naive. It probably is. I don't know. But when you're younger, you yearn for things like that, I think, and you don't know the hurdles that you're about to meet, so you plunge into it, and you learn stuff. Even if you don't succeed by the terms of what you set yourself out to do, there's something in the learning process. There really is. By actions are like rapid learning. Once you start to act and do things as opposed to hold back, and I know that myself, I've held back over loads of things, and I suspect I'm not alone, although maybe everybody around here is super dynamic, has just gone for things and, done stuff. But I've been slightly circumspect many times about stuff, and you have to sort of weigh things up and go, that would be a dumb thing for me to do right now, considering I've only got eight and sixpence in my pocket. I'm not going to do it, you know, so.
I agree with you. And the Stephen Truth Seeker said Satanism is more of a way of thinking. Lucifer is the god when they use, say, him natural law is the real God. Yeah, I'd go along with that one. I think natural law is the
Yeah,
real God. What's
let's
your
be
view?
honest. Well, let's be honest.
Well, it is. It's evidence. The natural law isn't it just the evidence of? Is it benign? I don't know. I think it's just, though. Justice is not necessarily always kindness. I mean, you end up paying. That's the reason why it's good. You go, I did this and I got that result. Yeah. Are you going to do it again? No. Good. The idea is to not have lessons that are so bad and horrible that they severely damage your opportunities for learning more things going forward. You can do that. People have done that, sort of risk too much. But yeah.
Listen, the Vatican's telescope was named Lucifer, which should be quite an eye opener for anyone who's religious.
Yes, that's sort of interesting.
I mean, worship's an interesting word. What does it actually mean? Seriously, what does worship mean?
The fact it's got ship in it. I mean, ship turns up quite a lot in their world, I guess. And obviously, we're deemed as ships, aren't we, or cargo?
That's right.
Within the Admiralty law, sea and so on.
Yeah, I'm kind of assuming it's an old word, but that might not necessarily be true. It might be just a sort of modern thing that's come up.
But with this, I was listening to the bowler hat farmer the other day, and he reckons that by October we're going to have a shortage of food. Now, is anybody seriously stocking up with tinned food or anything like that? I have, but
yes.
Anybody else? And the
I
big problem,
for a while.
As we said the other night, the biggest enemy will be your neighbours if they find out, because they'll be hunting for food. And
I think doing a little might help. Yeah, I heard him talking about that. I think we'll get a fuller report maybe in September or something. I mean, it sounds alarmist. I hate even thinking like this, but I think it might be prudent to be responsible up to a point. I was on with Ria today, Ria Bow in the hour, talking about all this stuff because it was in my mind as well, just talking about the whole thing, with the food situation. Somebody sent me, and I haven't watched all of it, a 20-minute video about the Mormons out in Washington State or Idaho, somewhere like that, northwestern part of the United States. And they've got enough food on hand to feed 10 million people.
Bloody hell.
And they had so whatever you might think about Mormonism, and there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about. In terms of organizing themselves, you have to go, that's responsible, isn't it? And they've had a culture where most of their congregants, I think this began in the 1930s over there, have always been advised or encouraged or told, whatever word you want to use, to keep on hand in their own home plenty of food. Not excessive amounts, but plenty to see you through several weeks or several months, should things go pear-shaped. And I guess in the United States, considering the huge distances involved between possibly where the food was being produced and you receiving it, that would make sense. We, of course, have much shorter distances here, and we have become accustomed to being able to go to the supermarket to get everything that's wrapped in plastic and to consume that. And it's not all terrible, but it is getting worse, isn't it? It's getting worse. And so when people talk about being wealthy, I've got a lot of currency. I won't use the word money because we don't use that. I've got a lot of currency in the bank. There's all sorts of complications with that. But real wealth, one of the things that would improve all of our wealth is the thing that would improve our health, which is high quality food, full of vitamins and minerals and nutrition, all the things that we need. And to have that. And as a culture, we don't have it because the main culture is making money. And making money is not making wealth.
Get to your local market, get to your local butchers and your fruit and vegetables. That's what I do. That's what I use every week.
Yeah.
Pretty much without fail. I very rarely shop in a super. In fact, I don't buy anything meaningful, should we say, from supermarkets. But I was in Shrewsbury yesterday and bought 5 nice lamb steaks and some other little bits, some chicken bits and pieces, and a couple of bit of veggies from Corbett's, and what company the other company is. But they've got so much. The fruit and vegetable I go to is fantastic. Fresh turmeric, fresh ginger, fresh garlic.
Wow.
They do all sorts. They're brilliant. And it's brilliant.
That
We
was
need
good.
more of that.
I agree.
And
with
a lot
you.
more people are finding it now as well. Even there's a cheese company in there who obviously sell cheese, but also do meats and creams and that sort of stuff. And even that's really, really busy now. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to
Oh,
see.
it's nice to
That's good.
Go
see.
in and see all these stalls being
I
used.
mean, I'm having a word with Miles and his pals and a few other people, and we're thinking of getting together and going to a butcher recommended by Bowl Hat Farmer, and apparently they're selling the meat now in frozen containers or frozen vans. I don't know the full technicalities of it, but it's fresh when it comes to you. And Miles's shop, he's actually got refrigeration units. So having it delivered to his shop, and then we pick it up from there, and hopefully we can get a discount if several of us go in for it. And it'd be good for the farmer because he has to pay one round of postage, and it's good for us because we get it meat at a reasonable price, which is good quality meat, not like the donkey meat you get in supermarkets. So that's what we're planning to do.
No one touch the shit in supermarkets now at all. And I don't mean in a snobby way. I think my health has improved no end since I've been going to. I was saying last week I bought some 3 ribeye steaks and cut each one in half and made
Wow.
2 meals out of each one. Should we say?
Mm-hmm.
It was just amazing.
Really?
I put it in a casserole and just let it tick over for an hour and a half. Although I've got to say tonight's meal was pretty good. I put 3 chicken thighs with the skin on into my saucepan. Put a few veggies in there, not too many, and then I bought some blue cheese from this cheese company in Shrewsbury and put that in there. Oh, I'll tell you what, if there was ever such a thing as a last meal, that was it.
Brilliant. The nearest butcher to me now is 7 miles away. All the butchers are closed around where I live, and
We need them back.
yeah, it is horrendous. And also things like winkles. Now, Paul, when you were a kid, we used to eat pink winkles every week. Was it similar in your household? It was a common thing to eat.
It was with my mum. My mum, but I don't think I wasn't into it. My mum used to eat tripe, right? And she loved it.
Tripe? What's that? That's brains.
That's cow's udders. It's a cow's udder. Yeah, with lots of salt and pepper and vinegar on it. That was it. Do you want some tripe? It's just like a big sheet of blubber laid on the plate. Have you never seen it? It's just amazing. Yeah,
they cook it.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, maybe,
that.
I suppose. I don't think you ate it raw. It'd probably be a bit leathery. No. I don't know. But yeah, full of good stuff. Mark, by the way, has put together a little poster type thing, a meme that I've been sending out on Telegram. I'll send you a copy. It just needs to go. It just says,
"Oh yes, please."
Very, very quick to read. Community Interest Foundation, CIC. It says 1 community, 4 vital missions, and the 4 vital missions are: connect farmers and food producers with the public. 2, support farmers who are struggling 24/7. 3, help people around the world grow their own food. And 4, give independent voices a platform on digital radio, which is what FFT's all about.
What we're doing, yes.
Yeah, the third one is because I heard him talking the other day, and it's true, is that you want to help the farmers, but we also, and look, this is just going to be, I can just feel the sort of resistance in me. Help people around the world grow their own food, and it's when you've been around a bit, and this I do sound like an old fart. You become habituated to doing things a certain way, and your life kind of works on a rhythm, and you don't want to change it. It's terrible.
That's right.
It's just true. It's
I'm
just
like
horrid.
that.
You just,
I'm
like an idiot.
I'm a routinist. I'm terrible. But I mean, I went to the local farm, and the local farm where I go, I buy eggs there, and sometimes they're still warm from where they come out of chickens. And absolutely brilliant. I got a bloody great monster egg the other day. A couple of them. I mean, I thought it was a goose egg. It was so big, and I couldn't even close the actual egg box. Wouldn't close. It was so beautiful eggs, and you notice that the yolks, nice colours in there. Anyway, cutting a long story sideways, they're going to have one of these bloody 5G towers put up compulsorily on their land, right opposite this woman's farmhouse, where she's got children and everything. And the locals are up in arms about it and trying to stop it, you see. And I took Mark's poster in, thinking that she'd be interested. And she spent thousands out in legal fees to try and stop this thing going up. And she couldn't have been less interested. I was really quite surprised. I'd have thought, and I think what it is, it's fear. They're frightened of reprisals and things like that. But I said, wouldn't it be terrible if that 5G tower, if we had somebody like a Blade Runner come along? That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? She said, yes, it would be. I thought, oh dear. But no, I actually think the way forward is to take matters into our own hands, because we can't fight these people legally. Put the towers up. Yeah, we put them down. We'll take them down.
Well, aren't these 5G towers full of lovely metals like copper and steel, which I'm sure if the local scrap merchant would take cars and lorries, I'm sure they'd take that.
Allegedly, yes. But I'm not promoting
Apparently so, yeah.
Of course, I'm not promoting it. It's terrible what these people do. I would not advocate that, of course. Says Chris, bullshitting.
Well, as I said before, that when I watched the Blade Runner in London, he showed there was a junction in I can't remember, Hillingdon, something like that, where they'd gone along and, I mean, as daft as it may, but they'd chopped the traffic lights down and all the things they could have done. I mean, and this junction at 9 o'clock in the morning was working perfectly fine without the traffic lights. And then when they put the traffic lights back up, it causes traffic jams. It's always very interesting. I hope as part of the Fuck 'em all thing, we'll start and get rid of traffic lights and keep roundabouts as roundabouts and not put traffic lights on them.
Well, one of the Fuck 'em Hall ideas, I think this is a brilliant one, is to coincide with the continent. We start to drive on the right of the road, and I thought we could do buses and lorries on a Wednesday, and the rest of the vehicles a couple of days later. How about that? I think that's a brilliant idea, don't you?
That'd work.
It certainly works.
That's a good idea.
Probably.
Yeah. Yes. See,
I do see one potential issue with that.
Can you?
With the buses,
what could possibly go wrong?
You might need to swap the doors and the driver's position on them.
Oh yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Unless you kick people out the emergency exit, that's always the other side.
That's it. Yes, that's a brilliant idea.
Shut the door behind you, will it?
Aunt Sally has said James Whale made a living being a controversial countryman.
Charlie. A controversial Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, right, Charlie.
Yes. That's it. Yes, you got it there.
I'm shocked.
See you next Tuesday.
I'm shocked by such a comment.
Oh yes, and he did push the clock shot. That's right, and he was very rude to a person. He cut them off because they didn't have a clock shot. But he's 6 foot under now, and he's helping to push the grass up. But one thing I do like about James Whale, which Exo's quite rightly pointed out, he hated the BBC. Now, and also Exo says, bit of a one-trick talk radio pony. That's right. And he was not exactly the sharpest knife in the box. He wasn't particularly intelligent, I don't think. He was a bit thick, actually.
You say how it is, Chris.
Well, I can say that he's dead now because he can't come back on it. But
I'm not joking with you.
But no, I found him a bit. The only one he did do, which was quite good, was one on Freemasonry. That was before he went a bit bonkers. You know.
That's an interesting comment that's just been put in the
really
in the chat there about LED lighting. Is that why they're promoting prostate cancer so much? Sorry, maybe I'm not.
Carry on.
Yeah,
that's okay.
About the LED, with it to do with link to LED lighting. That's interesting.
I didn't know that.
Makes sense.
And I know that I've got a pair, but I won't wear them on the show. But I do wear them normally. That's these orange glasses, which I put over my own glasses, and it stops the UV, the LED rays coming through. But the trouble is, everything's yellow. That's the trouble. It makes your eyes go a bit funny after a while. But I wear yellow glasses.
Well, can we have that as part of the Fuck 'em all plan as well, to get rid of the LED lights and get the old style orange ones back?
Here we go.
Because they were far better.
There we are. And you put them over your glasses like that. See? And everything. Oh bloody hell!
Oh wow, you look like Mafia now, Eric.
Was that Eddie the Eagle? Where's Chris gone? Was that Eddie the Eagle?
It could be. I did ring him. Mind you, what's happened to him? Apparently, he became a lawyer or something, didn't he? He had plastic surgery to alter his facial. Because but I think
I'm not sure I'd want to go to him. Do you think you'd actually get very far with him? Because I reckon it'd be a bit of a slippery slope with him, to be honest.
Now, Baby with the Laser said that James Whale did have a lot of people with alternative views. I'll give him that. But bit of an ignorant, condescending. Yes, I agree. And I didn't like it when he cut people off. Yes. But no, if he was in a good mood, fine. But the way he cut in on people, wouldn't let them speak, I didn't like it at all. But
well, maybe we should adopt a similar communications tactic, Eric, and just start cutting in all the time. Maybe ratings will go up or something. I don't know. I can't imagine that it would, but there's probably method in what appears to us to be madness. That something that's contentious. It was like the sort of audio equivalent of the Sun newspaper shouting headlines at you all the time.
Oh,
it's obviously been effective up to a point. People are sort of like bullied into things. If it's in 50-point type or something, I don't know, but. Yeah, he did do some probably reasonably decent interviews from time to time, but so what?
On his television show, he did have Mr. Methane on. That was very good. And he did let him perform, Mr. Methane, and he did a rendition of what was it now?
Why am I not surprised that you remembered
Swan Lake. Dee 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 dee. Dun dun. That's not Swan Lake, but that's 2001 theme. What was it? But no, Blue Danube. Yes, because Mr. Methane.
I like that joke from Mike Mantis, by the way.
What's that one?
The Eddie the Eagle one.
What time does he come in?
It was last but one on YouTube. I could read it out.
Yeah, read it out, mate. Yeah.
I had Eddie the Eagle as a lawyer. My case went downhill very quickly.
That's really very good. That's in the good old dad joke volume of Fockham Hall Dad Jokes. Is that? That's good.
I would say you were skating on thin ice, if I'm honest.
I tell you something though. He had bleeding guts, especially when he went down that downhill thing. He's just about balancing. I mean, just classic. But
I've never seen the enjoyment of that, I have to say. Skiing.
Yeah. No, nor have I actually. Aunt Sally said, my understanding of the word worship is to consider and elevate to love like a husband.
Well, husband means house slave.
Oh, I've got a definition here. Not far. I think that's pretty close to it. It says worship means showing deep love, respect, and honor to a god, a holy being, or someone you greatly admire. It comes from an old word meaning worthship, which is the act of giving high worth or value to something. Oh, that makes sense. I didn't know that. Worthship. So yeah.
But why'd you put your hands together? I've never quite worked that one out. Supposed to put your
I think that might actually be an old thing to do with the electrical circuits in your body.
Well, what an Indian bloke was all going,
you put your hands together and it actually causes the electricity to run around your body. There's also a thing, if you cross your legs at the ankles and connect them, it's very good for your bioelectrical circuitry to move the electric current around your body. Electric beings. So it may well be that it came out of that. I saw an interesting thing today about the human voice. There was someone stood in an old circle of stones. I think it was from Ireland, very old. And at about chest height, maybe a bit lower, there was a hole drilled in one, big enough to where a human could place their head in this hole. And I forgot the name given to it, but the idea was that you would hum, you would put your head in there and hum. And the sound of your own voice, now this is almost like an audio equivalent. It struck me as, urine therapy, that you're actually taking your own, it's all at your own frequency and it goes back into your body. And that the humming basically is very good for your body. And it made me think that we don't sing enough. In fact, we barely sing at all. Everybody sang at school. I don't know if they still have them sing songs at school. And of course, it's slightly awkward and people are out of tune and all that kind of stuff. But there's something about emitting a sound that I'm sure energizes you on a massive level. I've even been toying with the idea of joining a choir, which of course on one level makes my skin crawl, but on another, it was purely to just, if you've ever sung in a choir, and I used to do that a lot when I was younger, there is something kind of magical about it. You know, we talked about Welsh male voice choirs. There is a power in that is beyond sort of descriptions in words. It's an experience when it kicks off. And everybody literally is unified. They're all serving the song. So you have an experience of actually all doing something to support one thing. Very simple, but very powerful.
That's interesting.
Just a thought with that then. Is it the actual singing as a group, or is it the fact that you're in a building that amplifies the sound? Because I suppose for a choir, you tend to be in a church. So I wonder if it's actually.
Well, you could do that. I'm sure they sang out on the heath at some point. They probably just found that if they're going to put a building together and to amplify the resonance of the human voices. I mean,
look at bells. Bells are supposed to be healing.
Absolutely.
That's why they destroyed all the bloody bells.
Yeah, they're all healing. And we don't do things. I mean, it may be that we've got literally. It's a bit like on your own with your own self. If you use your body in the right way, you've got masses of healing that you can actually self-administer. And I used to sing a lot around the house. And I don't now. I've just thought of it now. I just sometimes start singing. The thing is, when you're paying attention to all this serious stuff for decades on end, it kind of puts you in a serious frame of mind, probably too much for your own good. You know, the idea of just spontaneous joy and being daft. I was looking up the other day, in fact, I was trying to find a photograph of sing-songs around pianos in old English pubs, because they don't have pianos anymore, do they? And the sing-along night ought to be brought back. But it's going to require just one landlord to do it. That's all it takes locally. You got to come along and everybody would sing really badly. And of course, nobody even knows what the old songs are apart from Roll Out the Barrel or whatever it is, right? But anything to get people involved and to get the technology at bay and to get back to human connection. And singing songs is good, I know it's another side to it, but the military do it. There's a reason for it. It actually makes a difference to your energy state and to your focus and your consciousness and your aliveness. And it's why we love music, And look at what passes for music these days. It's all electronically and digitally produced. It's distant from us. It doesn't connect up. I would even value going back to the Flying Scotsman, which was a pub. Oh, it was the Scotsman. It wasn't the Flying. There's a pub in Leeds called the Scotsman, right? And near Leeds Market. This is in the 70s and the 80s. It'd been there for donkey's years. And it was a big boozer's place. And it was just opposite the main where you'd catch a bus, where I'd catch a bus to head back home, going out east about 4 miles away. And on a Saturday night, we would be there trying to catch the last bus or, race it down and jumping on the back, all that kind of stuff. And that pub used to have people in it singing really badly, like awful, like really, really bad. And when people are they got a bit of pop inside them and they get massively confident and they stand on tables and they think they sound fantastic and they're over elaborating and all this kind of stuff. And you're going, holy moly. I mean, it's a bit of an event, really. It's very funny, but you don't even see that now, I guess. I don't know. Do they sing in Weatherspoons? Do people stand up and just start singing songs?
I was actually in Tesco's the other day.
Yeah.
And now they've got some pipe music. That's like, correction, Wicks it was. Sorry, it wasn't Tesco.
All right, okay.
So it's in Wicks. I was walking around and there was a bloke whistling out of tune to it.
At least he was having a go, Eric. At least he was having a go, yeah. I think tuneless whistling is brilliant. Don't you think really tuneless whistling is fantastic? I used to do it all the time on purpose to drive my mum crazy. Stop that.
Well, everywhere I went, this bastard went, and I felt like landed in one. I really did. It was irritating. He's going, and it's, that sort of music, I think they call it, where it's just sort of singers just singing, and he was literally getting carried away, singing along to it.
I wouldn't mind that. Aimless whistling, the workman's aimless. I mean, didn't we talk about this before? Do you hear workmen whistling? silly tunes to themselves anymore.
Not allowed to anymore, are they?
It's like birds going quiet. Seriously. It's like there's this stillness, too much of it all over the place. And people they don't have a sense of joy about things. And that's all it is. Just an expression. I'm feeling a bit chirpy today. I've had a good day. And they're whistling all that point, the postie whistling on a morning, all that innocuous, irritating stuff. Be quiet, put a sock in it. But even responding to it is a good thing. You're engaging.
That's right. But we don't get bakers and people like that. I mean, once upon a time, I used to get bakers and milkmen, and we lived in front of a grass verge, you see, and there was a woman that she was delivered the bread, and she had these sweaty. My mum always moaned about this. She had these horrible sweaty armpits, and she used to stick the loaves under her arms and deliver them to people.
Yes. I don't know. The salt might have made it more flavoursome,
Indeed.
Yeah.
We're about a minute to kicking out time, by the way, in the FFT pub, radio pub. Yeah, about a minute before they start singing.
Do you not think we need the bells back? I think. I mean, do we? I very, very rarely hear the church bells now.
Oh, I do. And there is a church nearby.
I think
they don't ring.
I think the power of bells is amazing. I mean, I know Big Ben is part of the Houses of Parliament, but obviously I don't think that's what its original purpose was. But when you used to hear that chime of the bells, it was just such a nice deep sound.
Yeah, well, I've got one for you. Why don't we all replace electric doorbells? Mine doesn't even work. I can't stand it anyway. I'm just trying to take all the wires out of the house and replace it with a handbell at the door where the person has to grab it and go ding, 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 ding. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Here we go. Hey!
Yes, absolutely. So I think handbells would be really good. I think they would be nice.
I agree.
And, on a morning, you'd have people singing this song to us.
Yes. And I think also whistling. How many people do you hear whistling now? Like the whistling Jack Smith.
Yeah, it's painful, isn't it?
Yes. And do you remember the whistling Jack Smith, Paul?
I don't. I probably would if I saw it again, but
I was Kaiser Bill's Batman. Yeah. And to believe that this record was made in the 30s.
Yeah. Well, we need to get back to whistling, standing around the piano, drinking pint jugs of ale and having a jolly good time, and somebody rattling it all out on the piano. That's what's needed.
You've been listening to Fockham Hall with Eric Von Essex. Remember, whatever you do, have a bloody good laugh.
And there we go. And good night. That is. And good night to Food for Thought Radio. But we're still carrying on.
Well, they can't hear you now. You had to say good night over the music. They can't hear a word now.
Well, never mind.
They've gone.
But now, Kerry Woolley said the 1992 Earth Summit explains all to the cannon fodder, unfortunately, that populates the Earth. This must be done through undemocratic process. David Lang, Montreal banker, said that.
Well, going back to the whistling and stuff and the bells and stuff, that was one of the things with steam locos, wasn't it? The chime of not only have you got the beat of the chuff 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 chuff, that makes you feel good because it's a nice deep thud, but also the different chimes they had on the different locos. You knew where you were based on the sounds of them. Like Southern region locos had different chimes to like Western region, whatever. And the same with the old diesels. The old diesels, they get a bit of good thrash off them. They sound like the one in my picture, for example. You still get a good vibration off that. Good proper sound.
I tell you what is a fantastic sound. Now, I was really young. I mean, it must have been before I started school. Must have been before I started infants. I mean, my mum took me to Liverpool Street Station. I don't know why we went down there, what reason. And they started steam trains, and that is hearing the steam train, the wheels slip as it's going out the station. It went. That was incredibly exciting. Have you ever heard that, the wheel slip on an old steam train?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yes.
It's a lovely sound, isn't it?
Also,
I'm glad I'm old.
Also with this.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I could just about remember steam trains, just about. And I remember the last steam train that ran on the line near where we lived, and it had all sort of like flowers around its funnel. It was really sad. And I saw it go chuffing along over across a bridge, and it was going down to Liverpool Street where they were scrapped them, which is sad. But do you believe? Is there any truth? That's right. Is there any truth in the rumour that there are still 2 steam trains under a mountain in Wales that are there in case of an emergency? Is there any truth in that rumour? Do you know anything about it, Mr. Anorak?
Not anything about it. Not anything about it at all.
I was told that by a steam enthusiast. I heard nothing
It's
more.
possible. There's certainly
you
plenty
reckon?
of steam locos parked up on preserved railways that need working on, and diesels for that matter. But yeah, but in theory, if steam actually did come back, steam is probably more reliable than pretty much anything else because it never really has a need to go wrong unless, obviously, they put crap coal in it, like they did over when we lost our coal mines and they started importing Russian crap. Our locos didn't like it. They just would not function.
Well, let's face it. Steam. We've got 400 years worth of coal under our feet. Well, not necessarily under our feet, but somebody's feet somewhere in Great Britain. And I think that's water, and that's basically it, isn't it? And a little bit of oil as lubricant. And the way steam technology was moving in the 1950s, if we'd have carried that on, we'd have had trains that are far more efficient now. Far more. I mean, what's your view, Paul? Do you reckon those bring back steam trains?
I just love them. That's probably not a good economic reason, but then all of the so-called economic reasons turn out to be bunk anyway. If you go and do a search on YouTube for modern steam engines, high-tech steam engines using modern materials, you come up with some very impressive stuff. There's some very interesting looking devices out there running on steam, things that are like 38% efficient, and I bet they could get even that up. But if there's no research going into it, then you won't see it. I mean, we associate it, of course, with a particular life and a warmer life, I suppose, although that's not necessarily true because there was a lot of wars during the steam age, weren't there? There were a lot of people, troops on them, blown to bits and stuff. But, yeah, it's just one of those things. I grew up by a railway and there were steam trains on it when I was a very young lad up until about 1964, 65. I remember it vividly. It was a lot of fun. It was an event. The railways were an event. They stopped becoming an event when it was just, commuter type vehicles and things. They're just not as good. So we kind of love all the romance of it. I don't know why it's romantic, but it is. It's just got a spectacularness to it. It's a bit like electric cars. They just don't sound of anything much to inspire you about life. They just
that's right.
They're just.
It's like jet aircraft. I never really was. I loved aircraft. I was really into aircraft in a big way. But only piston engine ones, jet aircraft, just don't really do anything for me. They're just sort of.
Apart from take you to Torremolinos for cheap beer, they do that.
Yeah, they do that.
I'd have to say that I do like the old aircraft, but I also do like modern jets. Not so much the commercial ones, but doing the open top bus up from Ambles up towards the lakes, and they often get the fighter planes coming over and doing sorties across the lakes up there. That's quite impressive. I have to say, on the top of an open top bus, and you get a jet literally a few hundred feet above you. You know it's there. Let's put it that way. You know you're alive at that point.
This is interesting. That's a good point. Aunt Sally said, I like Paul's definition of worship. I think putting your hands together to pray doesn't feel right. At my church, they have open hands when they ask or pray for something. That's interesting.
Yeah. As I said, I think maybe it's just a guess. Putting the hands together is to do with boosting your electrical vitality. Just like crossing, you can look it up. If you're sat down and you're feeling a bit run down, if you cross your legs at the ankle, it's like a circuit because it's to do with electrical flow through your body. Many of these things are kind of hidden from us. That you say, why do we do that?
Yes.
Well, there's probably a very good reason for it. If it feels comfortable, you might find that you just get energized. There's all sorts of stuff, a bit like meditation, which I don't do. I'm meditating a lot on doing meditation. On doing meditation and emptying the mind out, because I don't know what it's like in your head, Eric, but throughout the day mine's just a riot. From the minute away, it's just a racket going on all day long.
I'm always sketching design things out. I'm always designing stuff and thinking about ideas and things like that, what can be done, what can't be done. And I think that the big problem with all this, we've got this fear factory, which I said here, is that we haven't Food for Thought Radio has got a goal to work to, but it's the only thing is it a truth movement? I suppose so, yes, but it's the only area where there is a goal. You go along to these truth groups, they haven't really got a goal to work to. And
well, that's what I was saying earlier. They might get round to it, Eric. They might. I just think if you look at, say, the last 25 years, you can look, the whole of the internet age. All this information was made available, which at first nobody even knew that sort of information existed. It was about topics that, people are asking questions about this. Surely that's true. Oh, it's not. Or I've got to rethink this. So there's been almost like, for early adopters, of which I'm definitely one, there's been a couple of decades of whizzed by, and I know many people here are like that too, where you've suddenly had to recalibrate everything you thought was true. And you kind of, once you got used to the fact that you were going to be proven wrong about most of your assumptions, you kind of enjoyed it. You go, oh yeah, boy, what a thicko. Of course, that process never really ends. You're always assuming things that down the line turn out to be sort of incorrect. And then you get used to actually sort of that journey. You go, well, this is the least worst understanding I've got, but I suspect maybe in another month's time I might come across something else. So that's that. So that period has matured, I would suggest. A huge number of people have come in because of the COVID debacle. And now, and for some time, it's about actions. And this is where everybody gets a bit stuck. And I understand why they get a bit stuck. What do we do? So I throw out, we say, well, we don't like usury, we don't like the central banking system, and that's an understatement. The question is, how is it to be stopped? And you see that it has been intermittently stopped in the past, but unfortunately in every single case, that stopping has been overthrown by the destruction of that nation, literally, by any and all means necessary, by a force that's so then you go, all right, well, there's something else in charge here. What is it? And then I sort of drill down to one point, and there's further points to drill down to, which is huge numbers of people to survive go along with agendas that are antithetical to their interests, but they just don't realize it at the time. Then you get to that conclusion, you go, everybody's too thick to actually run this place, which is probably always going to be true. And then you become, I'm just going through a pattern. Then you get disappointed in everybody else because they're not seeing things. Then you get irritated. And then you go, well, I understand, why am I getting irritated? These people just don't know this stuff. And then you realize that you don't know all this stuff. I'm going up my own bum with this, aren't I? But, it's that process. And it's like, so I think actions to be taken. I was talking about it earlier today. I've mentioned it before. So I've got a book somewhere on my shelf called Critical Path by Buckminster Fuller. He wrote it
years ago. That is critical.
Yeah, he wrote it years ago. It's about 40 years old. And he was 80 odd when he wrote it. All right, so it's never too old to write a book if you've got something sensible or useful to say. Now, he had a lot of incredibly contributive things to say. He was an engineer. He looked at all sorts of things. He's the guy that created geodesic domes. He created a toilet that flushed without any water whatsoever for use in the desert. All sorts of things like this. Just an inventive mind. And one of the telling parts of the book, I think it's either at the front or the back end, is a letter that he received from a young boy who was very impressed with him. And said, the gist of it was, Mr. Fuller, I've read a lot of your things and I'm inspired by what you do and I want to live a valuable life. What would you suggest I do? And he says to him, and this is applicable to all of us all the time, he said, what you do is you look around you and you will see things that need doing. And you will, in many cases, be the only individual that sees that. because you're stood at that spot, literally. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're the only person that's led your life to be at that spot with your seeing powers, however old you may be, and you're going to see a thing, and a little chime's going to go off, and you go, this thing is not right, or this thing can be improved, or this could be better. And he said, when you see those things that nobody else is seeing, that's what you do. You contribute to everybody else. This is a very high ethical condition to be in. Now, I know most people don't operate like that because they've got to earn a pay packet. So we've got a lot of people doing a lot of stupid things, which they know are stupid. Like the insurance industry could be just replaced by a computer. It's just a calculation, to be quite honest, right? So the idea of monetizing the protection racket, which is all it is. It's just it's another protection racket, right? Which is the game that the government are in, and it's always threatening your safety. If you don't have us, it's all going to go crap. No. It's because you are here that it's gone crap. You know, you're never going to get that across to those people, or it seems highly unlikely. But I think it's a wonderful it's just a way of thinking. Look, there are loads of other things like that, but it's a very useful bit of guidance if you're young, because what he's saying to that young person is, be a participant in your own independent thinking. This is what the world needs. It doesn't need conformist thinking, because look at where it gets us. And that means then you've got some massive challenges like, I'm going to take myself away from the herd agreement. Yes, you are, if you want to actually keep your soul intact. And I think that's a key part.
Look at Henry Ford. They reckon that today he would never have been able to have made the Model T Ford because there's too many regulations that would have stopped him. But he took chances and he succeeded. These people were eccentrics. A chap who invented the paperclip. What bloody simple. It's one of these inventions you think, why didn't I think of that? Very simple. And this is why I'm fascinated with these so many inventions. But they've stopped our inventiveness in this country, where we used to be like pumping out engineering things. Well, you name it, it was made here. Now nothing's made here, and that is a crime. What's happened?
I think, Eric, a great deal of that is to do with the context that they keep laying down. So, like the default position for life keeps shifting. That's what you feel moving under your feet. So the default position now, part of it, there's loads that you could use to describe, but one part of it is we need technological progress to improve things. The rebuttal from this side would be, we've had quite a bit of that and it hasn't improved anything. Really?
Well,
right?
do you remember that from IBM? I think it was IBM. Now we've got the PC, the personal computer. Soon we'll have a paperless office. Mm-hmm. Wrong. We've got more paper due to computers than ever before.
You've had a reduction in real intelligence because people have confused huge reports with intelligent reports. They're not. Yeah. One of the things that you get from, I guess, military circles, or at least this is my view from a distance, is you get a concision of language, because if you're not quick with your words, people die. This is a real spur to get things concise. You know, don't send me a 16-page report. I need 3 sentences. What do you want me to do? That kind of stuff. And then people are acting, and the consequences of their actions get clearer. It's like direct learning from life. Whereas everything is just sort of couched in conditions all the time. You only have to look at the thing that supposedly passes for language in legal circles. Now, I was thinking the other day, this is a really sort of minute thing, that people that write those documents are, in my view, are appalling writers. I mean, they're incredibly clever at what they do, but what they do is make the content of their sentences less intelligible and readily comprehensible to the reader. You have to work really hard to try and understand the gobbledygook that they come up, which is basically the most evolved arse-covering language you ever saw in your life. And when you read it, you can't comprehend it. And therefore, there needs to be some kind of a law, like, and I know this is me being a bossy shit, but something, at least thinking down these lines. You can't have a sentence in it. You can't have a sentence that's longer than 25 words. This would stop multiple subclauses in sentences, which bewilder the mind. You know, when you read a sentence, and it's got 7 different objects, and you can't actually contain them. They know that. They use language as a mystifying process. So you've read things at school, advanced physics stuff, and you've got no frame of reference. You go, what the hell did that say? And no one in the class stands up, "Sir, I don't understand a word of this. Stop causing trouble."
Word salad.
I literally don't understand it.
Yeah. But do you
I
remember
don't understand.
Do you remember the bullshit generator? Do you remember that?
No.
I've still got it somewhere, and it was devised by the Canadian Army, so that when they were on talk shows and people asked them questions about defence, which they couldn't answer, or because of secrecy, they would use this bullshit generator. So, for example, they'd say, what about I don't know, the latest tanks? And they'd say, well, we've tried to optimize cloud bandwidth with them, which means meaningless shit that they just come out with and say it with such a way. They actually train people in such a way that it's complete bullshit. Nobody knew what they're talking about.
I think it's really important, this, though. I mean, if you think of like at school, right, the way that the communication space is set up, it's done in such a way that the person that asks the cheeky question is demeaned for doing so. Yeah, it's like you learn, on a subconscious level, that if you want the approval of the teacher, to not be a smart ass. But actually, it's smart-ass questions that are often funny. You know, the kid at the back of the class that asks a question that makes everybody laugh. No, we're not talking that kind of stuff. Why? Why is that stuff shut down so much? And it's led to a space. I mean, like, for what passes for communication in the Houses of Parliament, it's a joke. It's absolutely deranged. It's not communication at all. This is why nothing can change. It's literally like we're using the wrong words in the wrong sentences with the wrong attitude behind them. Nothing is to drill down and go, make yourself plain and intelligible and understandable to somebody aged about 14 of average intelligence. And if you cannot do that, if your law documents cannot be read by a high school pupil of average intelligence and understood, it don't go through. You make it plain. We don't know what you're talking about. I was reading some stuff out on Friday with Robin Hood. It's just absolute crap. I'd fire these people, but they've been getting away with it for a long time. Oh, we need all this ornate language. This is because they're specialists in it. They're highly intelligent. I accept that. But what happens is, because we can't understand it, this just becomes a smokescreen for more deception, which is what it is. And then you're sat there like an idiot going, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't speak out. The whole thing, the communication process, is totally suppressed so that the truth is never given 10 minutes on stage. You can't do it. It should be just plain language. He did this, he twatted that, and whatever. Did you do that? Right, everybody got it? Right, well, you're guilty, mate. Okay, then everybody would get it.
This bullshit detect thing, they asked a chap, what, the latest jet plane, what do you think? And the answer was, well, it should drive venture functionalities. What does that mean? It's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit, but they get away with it. So they got to drive venture functionalities. What does it mean? Nobody knows.
I wrote something the other day and I put the word excessive in it. It's not a bad word, is it? But then I just changed it to a lot and it made more sense.
Yes. Or evolve mission critical metrics. It's loads of them.
Churchill, bless his cotton socks, said one really great thing he said a lot of good things, unfortunately. It's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? Because he was a wretch. But around language, he was very skilled. He was, or his script, however it was. And one of the things he said was, the old words are best and the old short words better still. That in itself is an excellent sentence. The old words are best and the old short words better still. And it's about comprehension. So what you've got sort of in the field of politics is people are not speaking to be comprehended. They're speaking to be appreciated for the complexity of their language and therefore the misunderstanding. And you're a thicko for not doing it. Well, tough. You're a thicko for not making... If you look at the words of Christ, right, it's so plain... And yet there are double meanings in there for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear and a brain that works. There are all sorts of allegories running in these things. I think the amount of words he speaks is under 1,000 in the entire document. It's not a lot. And yet the impact is colossal because of the focus of them and the sheer precision of the language. And so, it's a key thing. And the language has been hijacked. English is a kind of... it's become a confusing language. And I do liken legalese to a type of black magic because it puts your mind in the dark. You are placed into the dark. You go, and then they come and they offer themselves as the guiding light that's going to take you out of it. You're going, but before you were here, I wasn't even in the dark. Why can't you just speak properly? So, anyway,
well, this
I
is
love
the thing,
language, by the way, but I am aware of its abuses.
Do you think you should incentivize ubiquitous convergence?
Well, I've been thinking about that all morning, actually, Eric.
What does it mean? Incentivize ubiquitous convergence. It sounds good, doesn't it? What the bleed?
Equitize. Yeah. Yes. Well, I suppose ubiquitous means everywhere. Convergence means the pulling of everything together, doesn't it? So everywhere things have got, and you want to equitize that. Yeah, it's just gibberish.
Yes,
it's not. You could work it out, but the fact that I'm having to sit and work it out means that it's not a good sentence to say in the first place. Why? In other words, if you're trying to make your audience struggle to comprehend you, you're doing that for a purpose, and it's to create a distance between you and your audience. You know, so
you're right. And I think there's so much word salad now that they're using where you don't need to, and it's mainly these lefties that are into it because it makes them look educated when they're not.
Edumacated.
And I still think there's something in the diet that makes them the way they are and what they were injected with when they were a kid, because I think that ultimately affects your brain because these people are not quite with it.
Ultimately, it's not just the V's, it's a lot of everything that goes on, the games and all these things we've talked about on here many times, that by dumbing down of the society. You were saying about the loss of skills and things like that, and that's done by design as well, because if you've got people with skills, they can basically do things without the use of the government. But by getting rid of those skills, all of a sudden those people that used to have the skills now rely on the government for handouts and things like that. And it's a lot of it is wrong in how obviously it's been done by design ultimately. I mean, like we don't manufacture anything anymore. Cars, lorries, whatever it is.
Right.
We don't make anything anymore. So people aren't able to use their brains to think to make things that they want. Like you were saying about the guy who made the paperclip. It's a simple thing, and the British were renowned for making like worldwide amazing inventions and things like that. But it's all been taken away, hasn't it, by successive governments, I suppose, ultimately.
Well, look at Sheffield. Now, Sheffield was noted for Sheffield steel and cutlery and things like that. And you had craftsmen that handed the businesses and things down from father to son. So you had things that they had an eye, a skill for making this specialist cutlery. And that has now gone. It's all been closed down. And the stuff that you get now is crap. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I've got, I needed to sew a button on today. So I looked at the needles, and there's some needles that I inherited from my mother. And they're Sheffield steel, but with, what do they call it? Spring steel. Incredible quality. Something, I mean, they must be at least 60 years old plus, these needles. You'd never get that today. Never. But the thing is that people said, oh, they made them too good because they didn't break. They wanted, it's a bit like nylons. When they started making nylon stockings for women, they had to back engineer it to make it so they laddered and didn't last, because the first ones would last forever. They didn't ladder. So the designer of those nylon stockings had to make them. And the same with the light bulb. They lasted too long, so they had to make them so they wouldn't last so long.
It's so the middleman class have always got a job to do. The middleman culture is part of the problem. The market makers, stock exchanges, all of this. This and the middleman ends up controlling both ends of the deal.
Well, that
and
video
they lie in that middleman space. They just sell
the video I sent you the other week, Chris, with that chap who went in the cab of that loco from the 1960s, and he was showing all the driver just basically said, the handles inside to get into the engine room were all brass, he basically walked around the entire loco and said, "Look at all the detail on this," and basically the driver
Everything's
could
curved
sit
as well,
there
isn't it? Everything's
and
curved.
listen to how he could understand what the loco was doing just by listening to it. It talked to him, and be saying, "Look, everything that's engineered in here is made to last." And they don't want that, do they? Because they want to throw away society. Because if you've got stuff that lasts, then the powers that be don't make any money. They need things to be disposable, so they have to keep making them so they can make more money on them and charge us even more for crap, basically.
You're spot on. I mean, I saw that, and he said that whole of it, people love the shape of it because it's curved. There's no.
Yeah.
You look at locos now. They're wedge shaped. They're ugly. Just look at them. Just don't, but you look at that. I can't remember the number of it, but it's a really old fashioned one from the 1960s. Bloody brilliantly designed. You look at the old buses where you had to get on the back. You could actually get on when it was at the traffic lights. Route Masters, they were really well designed, but because of health and safety, they can't let people on now. What a load of bullshit. You know, it used to be good,
even down to things like the roof as well. On the old Route Masters, the roof was designed so that if there was low hanging trees, the tree would literally run out of the dome and just drop off the other end, I suppose, and probably crush somebody further back, I suspect. But it was just amazing. It was just that video. I thought. I mean, I know what these locos are like. That's like the one in my picture, and they're still going. 60 years, 70 years later, and they're still quite a number of them still knocking about because they're easy. They're simple to fix. They don't break. I mean, I was watching some on Quest. It was actually on YouTube. It was Francis Bourgeois and Chris Harris, and they were helping fix one of these locos, these Class 37s, and the guys who owned it up in Bowness, they said that the engine itself is 65 years old. The power unit within the loco is 65 years old, and they did a little bit of tweaking here and there, just a little bit of painting, and it started. That's workmanship. That's brilliant. I can't imagine a modern diesel lasting 65 years and still having the original engine in it. That's some bloody going.
They're flimsy as hell. I mean, when you look at cars as well, look how flimsy they are today. They're made to look solid, but they're not. But they have to make them solid because of these bleeding electric things, which are terrible. But Sixblade, who's Steve, Survival Steve, hey, mate, said the master principle of war is selection and maintenance of the aim. The truth movement has not selected a determined aim, so they will struggle to win this war. If they even survive. Spot right on. And they enjoyed being in their own doom and gloom. Have you seen this? This is going to happen. That's going to happen. I found out. Or sending you speeches that people that they want to worship. Why can't they stand on their own 2 feet and say, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that? And as I've said many times before, the government wants to impose such and such a tax. Yeah, very nice, but we're not going to pay it. Look what happened in Birmingham. I think it was Birmingham, where they tried to impose a ULEZ camera system and nobody paid it. They've done away with it now. Now, why can't they do that in London? People just say, stuff it, get lost, don't want it.
I think that what Steve says is also applicable here. I've got to say, because and everywhere. I don't think we're necessarily excluded, Eric. I've got to tell you, and that sounds like a bit neggy, but I don't mean it like that, because I've done things in the past which turned out to be the wrong things to do, but I did them with good intentions. And don't feel ashamed of them, even though they didn't turn out how I thought I intended them to turn out, because they've all been a journey of discovery, finding out that there were other forces at play that prior to doing those actions, I didn't even know were there. Think like, holy crap, what's that? Right? You've got a level of consciousness up to a certain point. In simple terms, I think it's a process that we're involved with of restoration of the law. And we've applied it as a people better in the past than we're currently applying it. In fact, it's not being applied at all, to be quite honest. And to give the church its due, in part, although it's always falling apart, it was, at certain points in history, an upholder of that, or at least it purported to be. But like everything else, it's got tunneled out and weakened. Everything that we set, many of these things that get set up, like we mentioned before, under the circumstances of the time, they would make a lot of sense. You know, for example, the origins of the Labour Party were to defend the working man who was being predated upon. This is true. As far as I can make out, it's true, right? They were. You know, you only have to go and look at the living and working conditions for people as described by Dickens to see that there was a real problem. There really was. And that these acquisitive types that were running, not all of them, because there's another capitalist class that did a lot of good stuff, like the Cadbury families and things like this. Although, you know, by building homes for people and villages and doing stuff, maybe that was to assuage their guilt. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have any guilt. They just thought, hey, we've made loads of money selling chocolate or whatever it is. Let's give it back. The Roundtree family in York did similar things.
So there are, I think they were Quakers, yeah.
So there have been strong sort of projects where there's been an incredible moral and ethical sort of core to the whole thing. You've got Salt's Mill up in wherever it is. In fact, it's called Salt's Mill now, where Mr. Salt, Jonas Salk, basically, you know, created this fantastic housing for his workers in these mills, which was more than other people were getting at the time. So there've been good people done good things, but the overall context is that because people are still addicted to democracy, in part, you know, people cannot see that democracy is slow burn communism. It just leads to it. That's what it's going to lead to. So it's not that the ideas don't exist, I think, about the truth. The challenge that we've always faced is how do we apply them and maintain them? Because they have, in parts in the past, they have great things have been done. And then we look back and we discover them, don't we? And we go, bloody hell, why don't we still have this? Well, that's a good question to ask. Why don't we still have it? What were the forces that took it apart? Was it the greed in men's hearts? I think it is to some degree. You know, like the political class gets perverted and corrupted over, look, just do this. It's only a little thing and we'll sort you out and you'll have plenty of money for the rest of your life. And they go, okay. And after 30, 40 years of people behaving like that, suddenly the whole sort of the nervous system of the control centre is shot to pieces. It happens again and again. It's a repeat pattern. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just trying to observe it and see what it is, you know.
Well, what you were saying there was a bit like what Bourneville did in Birmingham, where they had the workers obviously working at the Bourneville factory, but the surrounding areas were beautifully made, like lovely houses and parks and lots of green and leafy parts. Bourneville's amazing, as Birmingham goes, one of the better parts. And I've just picked up on something there that Jolly Man said, which I think you talked about before we came on air, Chris. About the eclipse on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Last Wednesday. I agree with him. Did anybody? I'll put this question out before. Did anybody see the moon at all? So my understanding with the moon is that when we see it on its normal journey, it does the same journey pretty much day in, day out for weeks on end until it goes from back to a new moon where you don't see it for a little while. So how come when we get an eclipse, it's only one night? Should you'd have either side of the full eclipse, you'd have the gradual approach to it and then the gradual departure of it, because presumably the moon takes roughly the same line through the sky every single night there or thereabouts. But we don't get that. Do we get the eclipse on one day, but nothing? There's no gradual build up to it, and the gradual loss of it on the other side of it. It's just one night and that's it, which is why I don't think the eclipse was actually the moon. I think it's actually the black sun.
Could be. It's an interesting point. How interesting. And Aunt Sunny said, in my opinion, the English language has two components, Anglo-Saxon and Norman. The Norman being the complex and condescending in order to patronize or rule the receiver. And nothing more better was, what's his name? Duke of Edinburgh, with his triple condescension. Just have a glass of water, hang on. And he used to ask the question state the obvious, and answer it in one sentence. So, and he did this. I saw it in South Africa. He walks into this classroom, and there's a woman at a blackboard, and he goes, "Oh, so you're the teacher?" Asks the question, stating the obvious. "Are you?" "I see." And that would immediately put the person down. So, if he came onto this show, it'd be, "So you're broadcasting, are you?" Stating the obvious, then asking the question, "I see," and that puts you down. And anything you say after that, you're demeaned. Did you notice that with him? The triple condescension?
No, but it's a good observation, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's someone I'd like to get on my show at some point. In fact, I tried to do it a year ago, but just hecticness and everything, who was talking about Shakespeare, and that this was part of a project to introduce loads of new words into the English language at that point, and that there was a team. And I tend to subscribe to this theory at the moment because I haven't got a better one, that there was no single individual called William Shakespeare. It's actually, a handle to put everything on. What do you do at a battle? You shake a spear, right, the enemy, all that kind of stuff. And there was a woman involved who wrote the female parts, and it was a follow-on from or around the period of the King James Bible to develop a whole new clutch of words to go in. Now, I'm not against the richness of language. I was just saying that things should be plain and simple. In legal terms, I think they need to be, so that everybody involved, because it's a serious situation, or supposedly it would be, can comprehend what's being said. But in terms of poetical language, it's also got a tremendous power. And if you've got a very small vocabulary, you can only build a civilization up to the extent of that vocabulary. You can't describe complex ideas, and you will evolve towards more complex things. The pattern seems to show that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing, but people, started off with a horse and cart. Now we've got electric cars, and the complexity will no doubt continue if it's left unabated or unchecked or whatever. And it may or may not produce benefits. I can't say it's going to produce too many, because I don't think it's the technology that's the issue. Again, it's the management class in charge of it. It's always that. It's always the referee in the middle that's the issue. The ones that have self-appointed themselves as the regulator or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Is the one that takes us away from things. But I think there's a role there. But I think Aunt Sally's points is an interesting one. Absolutely.
And Kerry Woolley's come up with a good one. There was a play in 1968, and it's on YouTube. I've seen it, by the BBC, called The Newsbenders. It's worth a watch.
Apparently Elton John likes that one.
Oh, yes, he likes it. Well, Donald Sutherland's in it, and it's really well done. And it's really saying how they contrive the news. So it's well worth it. It's the Newsbenders.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Well, I don't know about you folks, but I'm a bit...
No, I'm cooked. I'm ready to go.
You as well? And do you know something? At 4:00 this morning, someone round my way has got a dog. And I could hear this, when a dog is stressed in some way, it does the same rhythmic bark, and it's sort of whoa, 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 and that is saying help me. That I could tell that and it stressed this dog, and it went on from about 4:00 in the morning to about 6 for 2 hours. So whoever's got this dog, I don't know who it is. I'm wondering whether they probably left it on its own, and someone comes in and feeds it each day. Because it's obviously a very lonely dog, but it was stressed, but that's why I'm so knackered tonight.
Just a quick question to you both: is anybody else noticing the air pressure changing around us at times? So when I go to bed now, in about half hour's time, the windows will start not cracking, but they make it a really loud cracking noise, not breaking the glass, but as though there's pressure being put on them. I picked a bag of crisps out from the cupboard yesterday, and it had blown up like a balloon. And I've had this with bottles of water here, because I drink Highland Spring, where I'll leave the bottle here for 24 hours, and it'll start to squeeze itself in, as though the air. Like when you go on an aeroplane. I don't know if you've been on an aircraft, and they higher or lower. If you've got a plastic bottle, it'll squeeze itself in because the air pressure changes. And I'm getting this pretty much every day at the moment, where Like the windows creak and crack.
Yes, Exo's agreeing with you. Exo says, yes, my ears did a certain frequency pop 2 days ago.
It's interesting.
Well, I haven't, I must admit. I have not noticed a thing, but then I could be completely and utterly as sensitive as a block of wood. But I haven't noticed anything like that, no.
Anyway, gents, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Sorry I'm a bit knackered tonight. A bloody dog woke me up early in the morning. But thank you very much for coming on tonight. We've got a show tomorrow. More than welcome on. And I don't think I've got a guest book tomorrow. So there we go. I might. And unless that MP contacts me and says, oh, I desperately want to come on tonight, which I very much doubt. Please join us on.
I think we need a bit more of a promotions machine around these ear parts, to be quite honest. We really do. We don't have one. And, if we want to expand things, that's got to be looked at, I think. So
I agree with you. We do need to promote it. What's coming up on you? I think you've got something really coming up, a really unique show on Thursday. So please fire away, Paul. Thursday, Rumble.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm going to be talking to Max Eigen. So he's coming on the show, so that should be a lot of fun. And
yes, and he's noticed something I've noticed as well, but I won't ruin the show, about the Middle East. So I'll tell you off air, but he's come up with a similar view. It's very interesting. But anyway,
well, I've got to say that the core thing for me is just coming back to this thing, even just acknowledging what Steve said that you quoted, is about looking at action plans to act and to do things and to get a focal point about what the aim is. My aim would be to destroy the bank, but that's a bit of a glib sort of statement, really, because as I said, whenever it's been done, it only just re-arises up. So it's, is it to run away? Maybe the aim is to go, look, this place is completely buggered, but of course there's nowhere else to go. It's interesting as a people that for hundreds of years we've been moving north and west. Seriously, for a long time, there's no more north and west to go to. So,
I actually think that
let's get clear time.
Who is that chap? Nick Griffin. I think he's spot on. He said we're going to have like the Romans had, and that is like the Byzantine Empire. Maybe we're just going to go to the conclaves. He's right there.
That's one of the questions I've been asking all along on this. Is that what's our ultimate aim here? I mean, obviously. I'm part of the Truth community.
To slaughter our enemies so that they never recover.
Waking people up. But ultimately, what is our final destination, if that's the right word?
Well, I think to get back to a country that it was in, say, the 1960s, late 60s, early 70s.
But then does that not potentially bring us back into a cycle of where we are now? Presumably, ultimately, the ultimate goal would be for us all to be free and out of this slave system.
You're right.
But
I don't know what that means, though. I've got to tell you, I have no idea what that means. I'm serious as well. I've given it a lot of thought. I'm not even interested in freedom. I mean it. And I'm not interested in rights. I don't think they exist. I think the minute you get into rights, you've immediately created a situation in which some authority is going to say, I'll manage that for you. You're actually setting yourself up. I think, on a really simple level, at the moment, today, is that the problems will always arise, and we need to have a get back to a situation where we stand by one another as a tribe and have a system that deals with those problems more effectively with each passing generation, acknowledging that they will never go away, ever, and that there will always be forces that will infringe upon you, and that if you organise yourself, you'll be able to deal with them competently so that they don't escalate into sort of civilizational threatening problems, which is currently what we've got. And that's the best I can think of. And to me, it's not that bad. I mean, I didn't go around when I was young thinking I wasn't free. It's an orientation in the head. I mean, because the idea of being free is like someone's going to give it to me. No, they're not. I'm already free. I'm free to choose my thoughts. I mean, it's just, but I've got these problems. Like I've got an invasive government that's using violence against me. So, that's a good goal. But then you go, is that going to solve it? No, of course it isn't. There isn't any it to solve. There's just going to be another one springs up. The sorts of mindset that go into government, they'll find some other sort of rat hole to go into. It's always been like that, hasn't it? From ancient Greece, you go and look at all the ancient myths and everything. It's just always been this way. I'm not saying it's good, but it's the way it seems to be.
Other countries, China in particular, if you go into Beijing, you have to go through checkpoints to get into the main cities. We've now got a checkpoint. It's called ULEZ, but that's what it is. It's a checkpoint because they can look for certain cars, and it's only a certain amount of time, short time, that pedestrians will be affected in some way, where you have to pay to go to a different part of Britain and things like that. They want to turn this place, they're turning it into a police state. And this is what we've got to fight against. These people are not
Well, that's something I've been noticing with the railways, is that they're doing exactly the same there. That, like I said, by bringing out shorter trains on these services, people aren't going to want to travel because they know they're not going to get on it, or the trains aren't going to stop at the stations they want to get off at, which then ultimately puts people off travelling. So that their 15-minute cities are coming in through alternative actions by effectively forcing people down that path. If that's
right.
You know what I mean? And I still think ultimately the main thing we need is unity. We all need to come together and work together. That's the biggest challenge we've got, is unity. And I think we are getting there. I mean, we've got unity on this show and the audience. We've got a unity here, but that needs to be across every individual, I guess. We all need to be together.
You've got a good point. And on that note, thank you very much for coming on to Paul's, or Anorak and Paul. And remember to tune in tomorrow night, same time, same place, 8 o'clock UK time. And also tune in to Paul English on Rumble, Food for Thought Radio, and YouTube, and Uncle Tom Cobley and all, 8 o'clock on Thursday. And is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we go?
I've enjoyed it, Eric. It's been great.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm a bit tired tonight, but as I say, a bleeding dog woke me up. And thanks both Pauls. And whatever happens, put the old thumbs up. Please subscribe and have a bloody good laugh.